up, everybody? All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to not Gojo and Golic, but the Gojo and Golic live stream of the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Mike Golic Jr., Brandon Newman here. If you guys are unfamiliar with our show, we do a show called Gojo and Golic. It is live 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern every Monday through Friday on the DraftKingsNetwork.com, the DraftKings YouTube channel, Samsung TV Plus, Roku, all those fun places that you can get the show. It's myself and my father, Mike Golic Sr. But for the real ones who have been down since day one, ever since we stepped over to DraftKings Network, you know, super producer Brandon Newman has been grinding in front of the screens, behind the screens, making the whole thing cook, and is back with us for a little bit to start the live stream today. So we are going to do a live watch of the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs AFC Divisional Round game, the nightcap of this weekend. We're going to have a bunch of guests come by during the course of this live stream today, which will include at some point my father, Mike Golic Sr., our buddy Jason Fitz from over at Yahoo Sports, ESPN's Mina Kimes, Marshall Newhouse, NFL veteran, offensive tackle, Dominique Foxworth, Jessica Smetana, maybe even a Stugotz sighting. We're not really sure, but Brandon Newman, A1 since the day one, here to start us off. What's up, buddy?
How's it going, Mike?
I'm good. Well, how are you? I mean, we've got time before the late game starts. We had the Lions just win now, but I don't want to bury the lead because you got the Ravens hat on, man. Baltimore getting it done yesterday. How you doing?
Ravens, my Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, that's why I'm wearing my Willie Beeman jersey. You know, Lamar Jackson is the Willie Beeman reincarnated, second MVP coming. Ravens going to the AFC Championship game. Outside of the AFC, Mike, and the Ravens going to the AFC Championship game, I do feel a little perturbed that we play this whole song and dance that is the season just to inevitably get one or both of the same people, same teams back to back all the time.
Yeah, it does. Getting down towards the end. And that's why it was funny. So yesterday, you were obviously dialed into the Ravens game. My dad was in San Francisco calling the 49ers and Packers game on radio for Westwood One, and I went up there with a friend of ours to watch that game just as a civilian. And watching that game, I did have that realization, like, oh my God, like it's different this year because we have Jordan Love instead of Aaron Rodgers, but this is the same matchup we've been getting in the postseason to ultimately decide the fate of the NFC for what feels like forever. So you are right. It does kind of whittle down to the same teams, even if it does feel different. I think that's why the Detroit win today was so damn important, because the Lions being in this position, especially culminating what Dan Campbell's been, that feels big.
And I don't know if you guys remember when we kicked off the season in Kansas City, when we were doing our spicy hot take sponsored by Campbell's Spicy Chunky, whatever.
Campbell's Chunky, yeah,
spicy.
that's the one.
Thank you. Yes, your dad predicted the Lions were going to be in the NFC Championship game.
No, that is true. Dad got a bunch of stuff right when we were doing those preseason predictions. We're going to have to run those back with him. Maybe he's going to join us at halftime of this game to kind of review everything. So maybe we can get him on that one because, yeah, and I mean, they went in and beat Kansas City night one of the NFL season. We know that one. Travis Kelce wasn't playing in that game. Chris Jones wasn't playing in that game. So it was about who was out for them. But Detroit rode the wave this year, man. Shout out. And Brandon, I shouldn't bury the lead here too. Brandon, Detroit, a place that's obviously near and dear to you in a lot of ways. But watching dude like Frank Ragnow gut that game out, as injured as he was going down in the middle of that game, was typical Detroit being a movie team like we've talked about them for a lot of this season.
And also like Aiden Hutchinson, at some point in time, it was like week 15, became a whole other character in the movie.
Bruh.
Like, was it the shaved head? Like, obviously, the stats and production was always there, but like he like evolved like a Pokemon out of nowhere halfway through the season.
He like Aiden's so weird because he is very athletic and he's huge. Like he's so many measurable things, but he does play the whitest brand of football possible, where he always looks a little out of control. I think it's too because of the black shoes and socks and the long black sleeves that makes him look a little bit more like one of those tube things out in front of a car dealership.
Inflatable tube man. Now we're too early in this whole stream to start naming random like players, but he's like a Uber, you know what? Ryan Kerrigan Super Saiyan. That's what Aiden Hutchinson is.
Well, see the thing, and like, because obviously, like, we just have to go down our Rolodex of like former powerhouse white DNs, and it's Ryan Kerrigan and Chris Long are basically everyone's go-to for this stuff. But it still feels like he's got a little bit more of the wild arms because he's a big spin move guy. We saw like the double spin move, which By the way, Brandon, I don't know if you ever saw this or not being down with us. Anyone unfamiliar, Brandon and I played college football together at Notre Dame. We were classmates there. I played O-line. Brandon played D-tackle. And sometimes with the various scout team crossovers, we'd be around each other a bunch. But Brandon, when we used to do O-line one-on-ones when we were just an individual drill, so it was O-linemen having to do the D-line moves for the other linemen, guys love trying to throw the double spin move, and it always looked so bad when we would do it because all of us were fat and unathletic. So watching you do the double spin move a little bit more the way Jesus intended.
Let me give myself a shout out. I was 2012's defensive scout team player of the year. You know, I may have been one of the reasons why Zach Martin won, you know, offensive lineman of the year at Notre Dame. But, you know what I'm saying? Thanks for giving me a look out there. So y'all couldn't wait for me to go out there and give y'all a look, AKA a bull rush for the first 3 steps. Actually, no. Speaking of, I wish I could stay here with you because I want to talk to Marshall Newhouse again, but I'm going to jump out. I'm doing comedy at Tampa and Side Splitters tonight. I'm going to be late signing in. Everyone on the stream, watch your boy. If you're in Florida, come check me out. Follow me at Brandon J. Newman. At Brandon J. Newman if you're here about next time I'm doing stand-up in your city.
See, there you go, man. Go let him be funny right up in your grill.
All right, Marshall. Good to see you, brother.
Bro, you leave it as soon as I get here?
I know. It can't be 2 black people on the stream. It's something about YouTube. But listen, are you going to be in the Super Bowl?
Yes, I'll be there.
Okay. All right. I'll see you soon. See you in Vegas.
All right, for sure.
All right, y'all.
Thanks, Brandon. By the way, what Brandon described there is not an official rule of this chat at all, or even close to. We need to clarify that off the jump.
Just to put that, make that so obvious. There can be more than one black person. Yeah.
He's getting ready for the stand-up set there, which is all good stuff. Follow him there. But Marshall Newhouse, kind enough to join us, 11-year NFL veteran, offensive lineman, Super Bowl champion, TCU great, and friend of the program. What's going on, man? How's the weekend treated you?
It's been good. I came back from I'm in school right now, so I came back from class, but immediately turned on Baker Mayfield and the Lions tied at halftime, and I was like, oh, this is a nice end of the weekend.
Damn, what are you in school for right now?
I'm doing business school.
Okay, where at?
Up at TCU. I'm doing like an executive MBA program. So in the middle of that, plus everything else. So nonstop.
Damn, a double frog.
Yes.
In the wake of all the crying that went on this week about the horns down stuff in Texas college basketball, it did remind me that you guys have by far the best hand signal in college football.
There's an elite fraternity of hand signals, and I think ours is near the top. And I find it hilarious that a UT coach would not understand that you can't publicly show that you hate that there's a horns down. You really shouldn't even care. But the fact that you publicly said it and you reprimanded kids on the court that Rodney did. I mean, I remember back, 3 years ago when Texas complained to the conference that they made like the horns down almost like a racial slur gang sign. I'm like, y'all lost the plot, man. It's a hand signal. And that ultimately, that's a sign of respect that you're so hated and you're so disliked by everyone else that they would, you'd have a sign worth doing, and they would do it upside down in your face the few times that they beat you. Like, relax.
I think that's what it ultimately boils down to is Texas just really does not seem to have a sense of humor in the spot that they need to in this. We're admitting you're the main character and you're looking at that as the negative as opposed to the positive. So we can expect plenty of horns down to potentially pop up in the chat here. But outside of school, we've got 3 games in on the weekend so far. Do you have a favorite? Now, obviously, anyone unfamiliar, you played for the Green Bay Packers, played for a number of teams in the NFL, but won your Super Bowl as a part of that organization. They went down. I was at that game. I couldn't believe they ended up losing that one. That was dominance across both lines of scrimmage from that team in a way that really jumped out.
Yeah, I think the thing that I think about is in the NFL, people talk about windows and young teams, old teams, all that stuff. But, like, when you're in the playoffs, you just have to assume that, like, we have to squeeze this for all it's worth. You don't know if you'll be back. You don't know if your star is going to get hurt, who gets traded, what happens next year. The fact that Green Bay was in with the youngest team in the league, Jordan Love's ascendancy in the second half of the season, I'm like, they had every chance to win and should have won. There's no moral victory. You're like, we should have won that game. We have no idea what's going to happen next year, and that should feel disappointing because absolutely they controlled most of that game.
It is. But I'm sure for fans too, it's kind of a balancing act because it's hard not to look at what happened with Jordan Love and feel like this was all ahead of schedule too.
Sure, and you can feel good about the future. That them and the Texans we talked about, they can feel really good about the next 2, 3, 4 years. But I'm just harking on the fact that you can't take it for granted because you literally don't know what's going to happen. We don't wish injury on anyone. We don't wish ill will on anyone, but you just don't know. And so when you're in the playoffs, you're in the dance, you go as far as you can, and they're up 21-14, and their run defense falls apart. They have a tip pick, and then Jordan Love he's setting up for have a legacy game for that 2-minute drill, and he throws a ill-advised pass across. He was kind of smelling himself a little bit. You could tell for the first time in a long time. So you feel good for the future, but short term, like you gave one away to me.
No, 100%. They were the better team for the vast majority of that game. Brock Purdy played a clunker for the majority of that and then muscled up the drive that's going to reignite all the Brock Purdy discourse online, which is just so toxic and wonderful for all of us. We're getting ready to kick off. Chiefs are kicking off. I didn't see if they won the toss and deferred or what, but Buffalo getting the ball to start this one. What was your read on this going into this game? Obviously, Bills finally get it at home field. Everyone's beaten into the ground. Patrick Mahomes is in fact playing a road playoff game for the first time, if anyone hasn't heard that somehow yet.
That was a big deal. And then just like, there's been consternation about people trying to figure out what's been going on with the Chiefs this year. And I think what we just saw, whether it's just for a season or if this is what it's going to be like as Pat Mahomes' contract becomes harder and harder to wrangle, is that this team just became a defensive team. Steve Spagnuolo's defense was top 3 in most categories, in the major categories, and their offense didn't have a weapon outside Travis Kelce, who even towards the end, he's dropping passes, he's making mental mistakes, and so they're having a lead on the defense. Pat doesn't have a verified weapon, and so I think the story is just people aren't used to that because we've just seen greatness for so long that I'm like, I'm okay with it. I like that it doesn't look as, that's a strip fumble. Wow.
Yeah, right. The very first play, that defense gets a strip and puts it on the ground. Heads up play by I think that was Kincaid just batting that ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
Oh, this is our first look. So we've got obviously, because we don't have the broadcast rights, shout out to CBS who's showing this game. We've got the dots out here. Okay. So if you've been a fan of Next Gen Stat dots at any point and you're turning over and watching this feed with it in the corner, we'll have you covered with the dots.
If you're born in 1956 and you're a Tecmo Bowl fan, this should scream. You should love this.
My dad had the greatest Tecmo Bowl glitch ever because, my dad was not a sack artist during his time in the NFL, but there was one glitch for whatever reason. He would just jump right through the line at the snap and sack the quarterback immediately when you had one thing of buttons go wrong.
The game was cheating even in the 60s and 70s.
Exactly. I imagine the game did more cheating back then because it was we were still trying to figure out how the hell this is even possible in the Magic Box then.
Your dad just trolling, spamming the game. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. It was my dad and then Barry Sanders in that game. two equals in video game lore.
Ooh, I love this. Between last week with Kansas City and Buffalo, the people who don't understand it, we come out in these cold games and you assume you've got to tighten up. You've got to just do stuff that's less risky. And Kansas City coming out immediately throwing 3 times last week, even though they were rough passes. But there was just a mentality of hey, we have a quarterback who's used to this. We know he can throw. We know what his limitations are, at least. And now Buffalo is doing the same thing. Now it's led to a fumble and now a rough hit on Diggs that went across the middle. But, hey, if you got the guys, they talked about Josh Allen, this being the reason why he was drafted was because his huge hands in cold weather. So I'm like, why would you not use that in the moments like this?
No, 100%. And for this one, too, it's so different than Buffalo's game last week where the field was largely cleared off at that point too. But normally I think of the weather games and just think of the conditions under guys' feet and stuff. When you were playing in snow games, I saw Brady, there was a clip of him that went around talking about playing in a game with slushy conditions. And he said he liked throwing the ball even more then because as long as he could hold on to it, offense had the advantage to know when they were going. Defense is over there with unsure footing. Is that kind of how it was for you, O-line trying to go out there and block in those conditions?
It just depends. In the trenches is different, but I see what Brady was saying is my receivers know where they're going. They're precise. And so all we need is a 1 to 2 foot gap. I'm going to put the ball where it needs to be. Edelman, Amendola, Gronk, all those guys, and we're going to pick people apart if they're even a step slower than they already are. But in the trenches, it just depends. I remember playing in Green Bay, and they have this expensive proprietary coil system under their field. So,
oh yeah,
it's not frozen, but there are areas where it's actually chunks are coming out, and there's no stud in the world for a while there. And they spend tons of money on technology and upkeep. You'd be shocked. They have like an 8-person staff just to manage the grass in Green Bay. Like, it's kind of insane. But there are games where you're like, man, I can't stop a bull rush because my cleats won't get in the ground. And then there are times where you could tell the D-line, they couldn't get their footing. So we're just like, be the hammer, not the nail, fire off. And today is a better day for us. So it depends with alignment for sure.
Yeah, no, and I mean, a lot of that you talked about too ends up being mentality. Oh, Jess Smetana joining the chat here.
What's up?
Well, hello.
Damn, it's spectacled Jess Smetana.
I got makeup all over my contact when I was trying to get ready for this, so I had to put on my glasses.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Those are like very like Better Call Saul looking glasses too.
I feel like they're a little 70s serial killery, but I'm still giving them a test run. So we'll see.
Jessica Smetana, Mindhunter for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I don't know how I feel yet.
God, by the way, rest in power, Mindhunter. I can't believe they just
Great
took that
show.
away
Gone
from
too
us.
soon.
I heard they might be bringing it back.
Oh.
It was an unsubstantiated Twitter rumor, but
Okay.
we'll go with it.
All right.
By the way, everyone out there, thank you who's watching along for joining in the chat on YouTube. Obviously, a lot of people very excited to see Smetty, but there's also a lot of people, the like trend over the weekend of everyone just naming random position players. We currently have random tight ends being named.
Oh, I love it.
throughout NFL history.
Honestly, it happened to me during the Lions game. Brock Wright. I kind of forgot about Brock
Yeah.
Wright for a second until he did that like kind of slow motion juke after he caught a pass from Goff, and I was like, oh man, there's our guy. Notre Dame has had so many prolific tight ends over the last decade that some of the like main blocking guys you forget about here and there, and it was just made me happy to see him have a big play in a playoff game.
Yeah, it is. Seeing him running next to Sam Laporta, though, really not favorable for Brock Purdy. And Sam Laporta having to wear that big-ass knee brace and still going out there and absolutely clowning dudes that's got to be really demoralizing as a defender, I have to say.
Probably. I mean, he's just a big wide receiver, right? I mean, not really, but that's what I would tell myself.
Josh Allen playing rugby earlier with the lateral past the line of scrimmage. He just doesn't care, and I love it.
No, Josh Allen is the quarterback version of Travis Kelce, right? Where like at any point they're just going to be like, oh, here's a fun thing that I can do, and just do the fun thing.
And then a little kind of push.
That one was a lot more coordinated than the one last week where he ended up like horizontal parallel to the field going sideways over the first down mark.
Isn't Josh's whole thing, like his whole kink with the fourth and short, is that he only goes left, like it's the Zoolander line, like he's not an ambi-turner?
Yes, exactly.
I think it's mostly been left, but I think they're also like, I think they talked during the week of like who's the weaker side of the D line.
Okay.
And so when I was with Brady, we had an A or B call because he would lean left or right depending on where we could saw like a little bit more of a gap here or there. So I don't know though.
Damn, another ball on the mat here. Look, they're saying Cook was down, but couple of balls getting loose for Buffalo in this first drive right now. Tensions very high. Jess, how's the football watching weekend been for you on all this?
It's been good. I'm not going to lie. Last night was a struggle to stay awake, even though it got really exciting at the end. But today I don't really have a dog in the fight anymore. I'm a Steelers fan. They lost last weekend. I guess I don't want to see the Ravens win the Super Bowl because like division rivals, but they're also fun to watch. And there's a bunch of Notre Dame guys on that team too.
Yeah.
Like Ronnie Stanley, my classmate at ND, and Kyle Hamilton, who's an absolute stud. So I really don't have any like rooting preference. I just kind of want to see good games. And I'm not going to lie, a little sad watching Baker end the game that way earlier. Like a little tear came out. I didn't really care that they lost, but like a little tear out of the side of my eye on the run that he had.
Yeah, the Baker, I mean, because for most of that game, too, I mean, they got, I don't know, it was a weird, ooh, wow, what a catch. Weird, freaky Friday bit in that game, seeing Aaron Glenn and Detroit basically out-blitz Todd Bowles in Tampa Bay for most of that game. Like Aaron Glenn, for anyone that might have been concerned about all the head coaching interviews that we saw popping up for him over the week, zero distraction. That man put together a freaking masterpiece, but including that last play where he kind of got Baker into a bad throw.
I thought about this, was like, I wonder if anyone's tracked, like when OCs and DCs who were in the playoffs get these head coaching interviews, if there's like a precipitous drop-off in their performance in that next game, because a lot of them, they Zoom interview, but some of them go to the place during the week, and that's got to affect you a little bit, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, Marshall, you'd be able to tell us better than Jess or I in this, but the amount of intention that goes into, forget just an NFL game plan, but then a playoff game plan, and God forbid it's a team that you've got some history with, the amount of things that you're probably looking in and trying to read into during that week.
For sure. I mean, your entire it's entire new season, as they say, and then like attention to detail. Everybody's tendencies are just doubled down, and so I can't imagine trying to put a game plan together, and then on like Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm flying to Atlanta or wherever, trying to focus on like a job interview. I'm like, what would you say your best trait is and stuff like that, like
multitasking.
So, yeah, multitasking, and then you got to go back and then get back in coach mode. So it can't be easy.
Jess, we've got a lot of people in the chat asking for a Willow appearance. Is she anywhere around?
She's literally sitting right next to me right now. Let me see if I can get my camera to give you a little peek. I'm actually drinking tea out of my dog mom mug right now. So
look at God.
She always sits right behind me when I podcast with your dad. There she is.
Oh,
hello,
sweet angel.
Sleeping. Yeah, she's a good girl.
I was blown away. Jess, I think it was Billy that brought this up for you guys on Mystery Crate the other day, that when a dog like lays prone on its back and like is all like tangled up funky like that it means that they're like super comfortable with you and they're most at ease.
Yeah, I read that when she was a puppy, and so now every time she lays on her back, we're like, oh my God, she loves us. We're such good dog parents. Like, we're doing everything right. She's so trustful. Yeah.
You're the much more mature adult, because I always latch on to the one how like dogs will stare at you when they're pooping and like looking for that sense of safety because they're in like a compromised position.
Right? You got my back, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I always thought it was like her look when that happens is like, why are you looking at me? I've always thought it was more of like a shame thing, but you're probably I'm like putting human emotions onto my dog as always. So you're probably right.
If Willow was a human, she wouldn't be a poop with the door open kind of human.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Damn, shout out to my poop with the door open fam though.
There's dozens of us.
A favorite pastime of the Notre Dame football locker room circa 2008 to 2012. Had mirrors opposite the stall so you could just sit there and have like a face-to-face conversation with somebody.
Marshall, to your point about like coordinators taking interviews during this time of year, I always think of that, especially during college football season, like towards the end when you hear rumors that someone might leave or it might be gone after the season. And I convinced myself for like 2 weeks. I was like, well, they're not going to win the Rose Bowl because he's been talking to the Chargers for like weeks. They fired Staley a month and a half ago. And I was so wrong about that.
Little did you know he was on vacation for half the season.
Yeah, right. Didn't even matter.
It was more normal that he wasn't around.
That's just goes to show why I always fade myself. I need like any of my knee-jerk reactions to things. I'm like, it's actually the opposite's going to happen.
To my deathbed, I still am going to say that Garrett Riley was distracted before the Natty. No matter how bad Georgia was going to beat TCU, Garrett Riley was distracted, and he ended up going to Clemson. Yeah, I was like, there's no way his full game plan, his full focus was on TCU in that game.
Georgia also was like, starting 11 NFL players.
This is how I cope 30 years from now. They kicked our ass.
Hey, listen, man. At least you've got something like that in the fold. Like, I was trying to go back and rack my head quick after 2012 we had anything big like that, but like I think pretty much everyone's stayed. I don't think Chuck Martin took that OC job or took the job at Miami of Ohio before that point, and I don't think Diaco left for the head coaching job for another couple of years. So we just got our good old fashioned asses whooped in that game. Which welcome to the fraternity.
Yeah.
The hands of
y'all had the cloud of Manti looming over the program. So
Oh,
who
yeah.
I mean,
knows?
that's what everyone really blames, Mike, if we're being honest.
That is true. Yeah, Lene Kakua is the one woman fallback for what happened in that game.
Always blame the woman, even if it's not a real one.
Men will literally blame an imaginary woman instead of just going to therapy. It's so true. That I blame Chance Warmack's exposed belly in that game.
He was just sitting on people.
Marshall, did you ever pop the gut out when you were playing?
No, I don't know why. I just, I think sometimes during camps that were hot, like I went no undershirt, but I didn't ever roll the jersey up. I had a fear of like poorly placed slow motion cameras capturing a little bit too much
the ripples,
seismic activity. I was like, I don't need that in my life,
No, yeah, I don't want any of that smoke. That was the same reason when like guys. Wait, Marshall, do you have any tattoos?
No, I don't have any.
Man, and Jess, you can attest to this. I don't know how many guys can make it through 4 to 5 years in a college sports locker room, but especially a college football locker room, without coming out with some like tattoos. And usually, like I can say this from personal experience, some very, very bad ones.
Guys don't make good decisions with college tattoos. There's just never been one.
No.
Which one do you regret the most, Mike?
I had like Faith and Family down my biceps in really bad old English, and they were $15 and done with the wrong kind of needle. So they healed like absolute dreck, and they look terrible to this day.
Your family was like, "You didn't have to do this for us, please."
Yeah, please, God, this is so. Yeah, we really aren't that invested. Like, you don't even rock with organized religion like that. So what are we doing?
Faith and Family and hepatitis.
Yeah, it's a borderline. But I remember that same trip, one of my buddies on the O-line got a tattoo. He was like the O-line varietal where he was like jacked. He was, a 500+ pound bench guy from the time we got to campus, and like borderline had like a good enough body to pull it off. So he got a tattoo down his rib cage, and I thought mine would look like an accordion. Like on any given day, you'd see like a certain amount of letters as my body folded over itself.
We've been talking at the Dan Le Batard show about getting matching tats when we're in Vegas for the Super Bowl, Mike. So we might have to give you a ring if that happens, because they will be bad.
That's honestly at this point now, I'm bought in. Like I'm in for a penny, in for a pound mode with tattoos now. I always tell people if someone's going to get their first tattoo and they're nervous about it or they don't want to go by themselves, I was like, I'll get one with you, because at this point, what's one more?
Just don't be a coward with the rest of the show and put it on the poll and let people decide. Juju,
I would never. People would make me tattoo foot on my forehead or something. I would never. When you said people were in the chat, I was like, oh, they're probably all saying foot. That's.
I need to go back and scroll to see if anyone.
Please don't.
You've put it in the air now. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, Jess, you have definitely. If there's any foot, yeah, there we go. The first one.
Foot.
We've got our first foot in the chat. God help us all. All right, Chiefs first possession here. A question for both of you guys. Do you think either of these teams can take down Baltimore at this point, or have they reached full-on wagon status?
Yeah. That game's going to be a toss-up, I think. Whoever wins this, that game is going to be a toss-up.
You think? In Baltimore?
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. What makes you say that?
Because Baltimore's been great, but both of these teams' ceilings, like both these teams are like full go, I don't think Baltimore is that much better than anyone else. I would favor them. I think it'll be a 2.5 point spread. It'll be a toss-up to me. If Kansas City wins and Rashee Rice is turning into what we see in front of our eyes, I don't know how you doubt Patrick Mahomes. I get Lamar Jackson has had the season. I root for him to do well and win one, but I think all three of these remaining teams they're that good.
Yeah, it's not quite, the Packers finding and drafting Jordan Love and hitting on that again. But if the Chiefs really were to have found Rashee Rice as a true number one wide receiver, especially as we're sunsetting Travis Kelce's career and probably going to talk about his retirement potentially every season now that he's playing there, it would be another one of those, of course the Chiefs were able to do this moments. That's
how I feel about the Chiefs. I don't necessarily feel any type of way about the Bills, especially, and they've been hurt most of the season, but and especially tonight, but I'm waiting for that to matter, and it the last few weeks it just hasn't. But I don't know. Patrick Mahomes is like the Chiefs defense this year, I think, give me a little bit more of like I could see that being a toss-up matchup.
Ooh,
if they win this one.
First shot of Taylor Swift in the crowd. Saw that Jason and Kelce were also in the stands for that one. Big fan of that meetup.
He's just getting a great tour of the Midwest. I mean, or in the Northeast, Buffalo, Kansas City,
the Great Lakes.
I have said
Lakes in the Midwest.
Buffalo, spiritually Midwest.
Yeah, spiritually, that's what I meant. Yes, for sure.
Have either of you guys subscribed to the pit rumors that Buffalo fans have been sacrificed to the pit where the new stadium's being built to fuel this win streak?
I mean, if they win tonight, if they make it to the Super Bowl after the weird season they've had, yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely something to it.
Buried a couple of lifer fans and some tables under all the concrete, and yeah, call it a day.
Yep. There's going to be some weird drunk ass ghosts in that stadium when they finally open it up.
I'm just happy this game didn't start at 8:30.
Oh man! Before my eyes, I've turned into a person that's looking at start times, and I either groan or I'm like, yes, bedtime.
Absolutely. That's why I love championship weekend so much. Like next Sunday is my Super Bowl because it is the perfect. If you're on the East Coast, it's like everything's done at a relatively normal amount of time, but it's like the perfect eating window, basically from like 3 until 10, just to like sit on your couch with dips for 7 or 8 hours.
Oh, man,
it's absolutely perfect.
Love dip
top
season.
3 dips in your general vicinity. What are you going for?
Well, right now we're really into the Publix variety dips because, I didn't grow up around Publix. I was familiar with Publix's game, but now that I live like a mile from like 7 different Publix, like it's pretty much where we get everything. And they've got a great like pre-made food section. So they have a really good buffalo chicken dip pre-made. You just put it in the oven for like 30 minutes and it's perfect. They've got a spinach dip that I think is severely underrated. Okay. And then honestly, I'm going to go with like, this is going to sound weird, so bear with me, but like a smoked fish dip.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's pretty good.
I won't knock anything until I try it. I've had some smoked, I don't know if it was fish, but I've had like smoked dip. I can see it. Are anyone familiar with what HEB is for Texans? I'm in Texas.
Yes, I am familiar.
That is our Publix. So do you have exposure to that? Could you put it up against Publix?
I've never been, but but I think you're probably right about that. Publix also, like, the thing that I think sets it apart is the deli selection, the pub subs. People go absolutely crazy. There's a chicken tender pub sub that they put. I mean, it sounds like I'm just doing a commercial. I promise I'm not being paid to say this, but
you were right on time, Jess. Danny Finn's fan in the chat, chicken tender pub sub all day. Let's go. So people are on your side here.
It is world renowned.
Oh, speaking of world renowned. Mina Kimes jumping in the chat. I don't know if she's frozen or not.
Is it not working?
There she is.
No, you're up. There we go.
I'm using my phone, so I can't really see.
Nice. Nope, you're on. Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Not too much. Mina Kimes, ESPN NFL analyst, for those who aren't somehow aware, who you guys can check out, by the way. We're all going to be out in Vegas for the Super Bowl, and Mina Kimes, Dominique Foxworth, Kevin Clark, and Bill Barnwell doing a live show Thursday of Super Bowl week at the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club that everyone can go check out at 5 Local there. So that'll be a good time. How's the football weekend been for you, bud?
It's good. I mean, the morning game was excellent, I thought. Still kind of covering from that. Early on, I mean, drive 1, we got a Josh Allen lateral already. I feel like that's the chaos energy is already there. So I'm pumped for this one.
Mina, while we have you here, you mentioned the early game, and we're in a break right now with this one. How did you process the reaction yet again to the Buccaneers down 14 going for 2 and the ensuing discourse? Because they did the right math thing, and then they threw a goal line fade right in your face, which felt like a personal attack on you.
I think the great Sam Schwartzstein actually, the case for going for 2 down 8 is your chances of making it at least once are greater than not. And if you make it first time, you can win the game in regulation. And if you don't make it, you can tie it. So, which would have been the same outcome if you had just kicked. But Sam pointed out that because the fade is such a low percentage play, that actually probably brings that down. So then what would be the analytically correct decision might actually not be with the wrong play call, which is, I'm sure, is the exact nuance with which everybody will discuss.
That's what we're hoping for, yeah.
Coming up Monday on First Take.
I will say, I ran the numbers a few years ago on goal line feints because I hate them so much. And Mike Evans was like one of the very few receivers where
Yes,
their
I argue
percentages
that
were.
he's like one of 3 people in the world that I'm goal line fading to break the tendency. He's one of the only
where
ones.
the announcers are like, it's actually more of a 70-30 ball with him instead of a 50-50.
You know what's weird though? It wasn't. This was again a few years ago when I ran it, but you'd think it would be all Giants. I think Mike Williams was up there too, but then like T.Y. Hilton was actually really good at them. So it could be small receivers that have good releases and create space quickly. So it's not just like who's the biggest, tallest dude.
When I was in Green Bay, it felt like Aaron Rodgers and James Jones had like the secret sauce. And James is not the overly big guy, but they did it so many times. I was like, what is happening right here?
It's like a timing thing, you know.
We've rolled out the
like
dots for Mina Kimes here on the show too. Mina, you're on the phone, so you probably can't see and appreciate, but since we don't have the broadcast rights here, we're a dot family.
Incredible. I've been using the dots on YouTube a little bit. Dots are great.
They're adorable.
I would love to see the dots on the lateral. It did, which actually is really useful if you're trying to figure out if something was a lateral, is to look at the dots.
That's true. And actually probably like first downs too, considering all we do is complain about like the archaic first down measurement system here. We've actually got people being tracked.
There have been some wildly bad spots in the playoffs. Am I wrong in noticing that? I don't know what has gotten into people.
No, what was the one in the Packers game yesterday? Am I
Two bad
remembering that
spots
correctly?
One of which was the 4th down attempt. And I thought, that one wasn't super egregious. That was a sneak, but I thought he got it. And then the second one, they got right. They fixed, but I couldn't believe they missed it the first time.
It's like, imagine if your uncle, your most irresponsible uncle, is in charge of like, you being right or wrong on a test, or you being right or wrong in traffic. Like that's what we're relying on the NFL.
I know.
I would say it's making your most irresponsible uncle like the treasurer when you play Monopoly or something.
Throwback.
Play action. Looking back. Sure.
Mina, you are, I think, one of the people that bravely stepped out on a limb to pick that the Kansas City Chiefs would still make it to the AFC Championship game. So what gave you that confidence? Because I wasn't sure coming off the Miami game how much I was supposed to take away from that, because that felt like such a perfect matchup based on where the Dolphins were hurt and at that point in their season.
I think that take I said was around the Raiders loss. So I just want to say it did have a little bit of heat when I said it. And I feel like now it's like, but, for me, I just think this defense, I love the way they play. I think they're built for playing a lot of the really good offenses because of the speed, the physicality, the design, the confusion. And then, once they kind of figured out that like the offense should completely go through Rice, I think your margin of error is still really small because of that, because of the lack of other options, but outside him and Kelce. But, it took them a while to get and even him, how they use him has changed. Earlier they got him, it was a crosser and then it was a scramble. But in the last game, I thought, Marshall and I talked about this on my show, the Income Show featuring Lenny. Once they got him going on those overs, they hit like 5 or 6. And when he has the ball with his hands in space, I actually think he's that's probably the most explosive thing they've got going for them.
Yeah, huge revelation in the back half of that season, considering the whole story of last year was, all right, like what does this offense have to be when it's no longer explosively capable? And, really last year it felt like it largely ran through the tight end room, which I guess to some extent it still does this year. They were still pretty high in the 2 tight end looks for most of this season as far as league average, right?
Ooh, good run. Yeah, a little bit lower. I think losing, this sounds weird, but losing Fortson actually kind of hurt them. And so they've certainly been less effective out of 13, but they do use them a lot. And I imagine In this case, with the Bills, there's only been one drive, but with the Bills linebackers out, we're going to see a lot of that. Actually, I could pull it up right now and see what the first drive. I was just about to check what the groupings were. Let's see. Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs. So, yeah, they came out 4 of the 6 plays were in 12. So I think we're going to see a lot of that. Get him. Oh, that was a nice. Yeah.
They've pulled Deion Dawkins 3 times already. The tackle, which you don't see, it's called a TAG, a tag, a tackle around guard. They've done it 3 times. It's usually a rare one. I'm trying to figure out if they see something in the B gap on this nickel defense, but they've pulled him 3 times already.
Have you noticed the run game changing under Joe Brady? I mean, because everyone talks about the fact that they just run it more, obviously. Yeah. But the actual nature of the run game, have you noticed conceptually it looks different?
They just said, screw it, like almost everything, at least he's going to look like Josh Allen can pull it, because in the playoffs, he's the tank. So they give him the option everywhere, even if it might not be built in, to do what he's doing right here.
There you go.
There we go. There's a big fella going.
Great timing.
It's such a nightmare, man.
Like being cold and tackling already hurts. He's 245. Like you're making business decisions on a minute-to-minute basis.
You could argue you've got the 2 most miserable players left in the postseason to tackle in this game between him and Pacheco on the other side. That's all I thought last week when they were playing the Dolphins was this Miami team already wants no part of this game, and now they've got to tackle Isaiah Pacheco, who's just so pissed off the earth would have the audacity to be cold and hard.
Who tweeted like Isaiah Pacheco run like he bite people?
There's so many good. I think that was a player. I can't remember which player tweeted that.
I was like, this is the most appropriate thing I've ever seen about running.
There's so many good memes about him running. Someone had one that was like he runs like a kid who gets new shoes in a store.
And they're like they're like a size too big too. Mike, the entire last Saturday night, I just kept thinking of your story of playing Miami in the Sun Bowl when it was like 20 degrees. And obviously different Miami teams and college versus NFL, but it felt like it rang very true after seeing the first half of that game. I was like, I bet similar things were happening between the Chiefs players and the Miami players in this one when they walked out onto the field.
At that game, I'll at least give the Dolphins grace. Kansas City was cold for microorganisms and things that have existed since the dawn of time. It was 32 degrees and there was a light snow when we were in El Paso, and that Miami football team quit in the tunnel before the start of that game. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, which I never like to rag on people that are smart enough to live in a warm place for being upset when it's cold. Like, they made a good decision, we didn't. Because shoe on the other foot, when we practiced down in South Beach in January before the title, I walked out for that first practice and I was like, how is it this hot right now in early January? Jess, I don't know how you live there year round.
I mean, it was cold today. I woke up and it was 53 outside. Someone was walking their dog in a fur coat. Not gonna lie, I was a little cold. I make fun of Miami people a lot for overdressing in the winter when it's still above freezing, which it always is, but
it's iguana dropping season now.
Exactly. Yeah. Once it hits freezing, they just fall out of the trees.
Wait, so you just have to watch for iguanas falling out of the trees at random times?
Apparently, I've never seen one. Apparently, though, this is a thing. When it hasn't been that cold since I've moved here 3 years ago, and it hasn't been cold enough in this part of Miami for the iguanas to be immobilized, but apparently it is a thing. I'm still waiting to see my first one.
All right, as we get back ready for this, just a quick reset for everybody. You guys can check out Jess as the co-host of Golic and Smetty here on DraftKings Network on the Dan Le Batard Show, and rest in peace to Foot Girls and long live Generation Gen CFB with her and Lucy Roden. The Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny, obviously one of the best NFL podcasts around. Marshall Newhouse was just a guest on there here in this last week, and also as a part of the great crew on NFL Live. Yeah, it was a good podcast. I always enjoy hearing beef make its way onto the Mina Kimes Show.
I like how it was so cold last week in Kansas City that this week it was 12 degrees in Baltimore and it's 20 degrees in Buffalo, and everyone's like, meh, it's not really a talking point. We did -30 last week.
Good week to be the Peppa Pig mascot, though. Still get to be inside that giant suit. I love how they're leaning into Peppa.
Can you explain that to me? I'm not sure.
I need to know more too.
So there was a Paramount Plus commercial where they used a lot of the properties, including like the
with
NFL
Josh Allen, right?
Yeah, with
I've
Josh
seen that.
Allen
Okay.
and Peppa Pig that were on it, and they had like the Transformers movies are a part of that. So they had Optimus Prime and Megatron, and they had Nancy Romo on there.
Ooh.
So
isn't Peppa Pig? I don't have kids, but I heard isn't Peppa Pig one of the more despised characters?
Yeah. I'm not
Really?
We're not there yet, but I've been warned.
See,
Oh,
okay,
I didn't know that.
Okay.
I knew Kalu was a very.
Caillou.
Is that how you say it?
Caillou.
Okay.
Parent Twitter hates that child.
I knew about that one. I've seen some really terrible things about that poor cartoon. Is it a child? I can't really even tell.
He's a bald, complaining child. Oh, there we go. Josh Allen.
That was a pop pass option there.
No, easy.
Oh, that was like one of the the pass run options that the Eagles
it was
run
a
with
QB
Jalen
run,
Hurts.
just out of gun, and you can see him. They had a route, a little corner route, delayed corner route, and he's like, "Well, I see the corner. I'm just going to run." So everything, they're just giving him an option to just do what he needs to do. There it goes.
How the change in the Bill? I mean, there is a change in the Bills' offense from the previous offensive coordinator to this one, but how much of it is just like tagging on a Josh Allen run to literally everything?
It's just like letting him cook. It's like he is the ultimate weapon. He likes contact. We're going to lean into that within reason. I don't know why before Ken Dorsey seemed to not want to do that or what the disparity was, but that's all this is. Joe Brady's doing a lot of concepts on the outside too with, and gun and receivers, but it's just Josh Allen. When we need something, go be great.
It's so interesting to juxtapose him with Lamar in this postseason, though, because so much of Josh's running style is predicated on extreme physicality. I heard you guys talk about him with comparison. Like Cam Newton is the only real comp that exists for him in terms of running style. But Lamar, while he's like slightly less open field explosive than he used to be, he's so adept at getting down in the way that Russell Wilson was always really great at, never really taking big hits. He's always like gliding right at the last second away from contact, like he can realize it right as it gets close. It's awesome.
That's unspoken. Lamar is like an expert big hit avoider. People, at least the last 2 seasons, people kind of don't realize that because he's running, but he literally is falling forward. He's not sliding, which, you're giving away a yard every time you slide. And he's falling forward and missing the bigger hits. He's figured it out.
By the way, as we go along here, anyone's got to jump for any reason, go ahead. This is sort of a come as you are, leave as you want to kind of situation here. Really appreciate it. Everyone's time, obviously, to sit here and make fun of children's cartoon characters and eventually talk about Patrick Ricard. I had Mina texting me about Pat Ricard a lot yesterday, which always warms my heart because he's an absolute stud. So
this is the first watch along I think I've ever done.
It's also the first one I've ever done.
We had one, but I was busy and couldn't make it. So this is the first. And Mike giving me ample heads up, and me having no social life was a really good 1-2 punch. So I didn't have anything else to do. Why wouldn't I be here?
That is the good part of having friends who work in sports is most everyone doesn't do anything on Sundays during the NFL season because we're all usually just doing this.
Exactly. Occasionally I'll have like a friend over to do this with me.
Do you guys think the Lions have a shot against the Niners? How do you feel about that, being the NFC?
I do, just because the Niners rush defense seems to be who we thought they were. Like Green Bay whooped their ass up front.
This is the way they were. I mean, and then now Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah. Now I think they'll probably cook their defense. But.
Yeah. The back end of that defense.
Now's a good time to start like the Brock Purdy discourse for the next 3 hours of the watch along.
Oh my God. It's funny. I ran into Brock's dad before the game. I was down in the field saying hi to my dad. Super nice guy. Like, exactly what you'd expect from the quarterback that's come up in Brock Purdy and his course of action here. But it's so funny being in real life, talking to Niners fans who were all like, oh yeah, Brock played terrible today, but somehow we found a way to win. Like, they were all fine admitting, like, yes, this wasn't a great game by Brock Purdy, but the internet faction of Niners fans will lose their shit if you say that.
I can't remember which one of mine compared him to, like, there's a Pete Davidson sketch where he's like befuddled by how people talk about him. And I feel like that every time I see Brock Purdy talk, like, he does not have the bravado of the people who talk about him. It's not like he doesn't have confidence. He is confident, but he clearly understands his role in the ecosystem. I don't know. He's very likable is my point.
For sure.
And that's why I hate that, like, right after the game, someone has to compare him to Joe Montana. We don't have to do this, guys. We don't have to do this. Like
he never said that. He never insinuated that.
Oh man, isn't that why the internet's great though?
He's the linebacker on the other side of the line from the water boy. Like, I never said anything about your mom. Oh, we've reached the Pacheco point of proceedings.
Mike, I need to know.
They're like punching the grass,
I need to know your thoughts on the Taylor Swift themed food.
Wait, there was Taylor Swift themed food?
You didn't see that? I figured you would be all over it. Ew,
No,
it looked terrible. It's like they're serving it at the stadium tonight. I'll send it to you. You can give me a live reaction.
Someone's there.
Who's that
down here? I see it. It's a 20 number, so it's got to be a DB, I think. Which not great for Buffalo, considering what ended up being the injury report for coming into the game for them. I didn't see like the final inactives list.
Linebackers. I mean, AJ Klein's out there.
I don't think I have seen an injury report on like a Thursday as long as theirs was. It was kind of insane.
They put up a graphic right at the beginning of the game. Let me see if I can find it.
Karen Johnson is playing. That was one that I thought would be pretty pivotal given Rashee Rice and how good Johnson's been this season. But yeah, no Benford, no Rapp, no Dodson. It's a lot. It's all the secondary is just.
Okay, so that was Dodson that was just injured on that play.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bernard was not playing. So now Dodson and Bernard. So yeah, that is. Yeah. I mean, if they don't just throw I feel like a million Rashee Rice choice routes.
Yes.
And hit those. Yeah.
Speaking of injury reports and pullers, while we've got a break in the action here, the nerve of Ben Johnson to try and call a center pull for Frank Ragnow in the second half of that Lions game. You sick man. Frank Ragnow's on the injury report with body. Like, everything on him is broken. He went down in the middle of that game, and you're trying to get him out on the perimeter, pulling in front of guys, and he fell all over himself. Like, that was cruel and unusual.
You were the first person I thought of when I saw that.
It's like, come on, man.
The Eagles announced that they're firing Desai.
Ooh.
Which is very interesting to announce that and not anything about Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
Certainly a choice.
I assume that means I think Sirianni's probably keeping his job, I guess.
I would imagine, yeah. Alberto Huerta says in the chat, what do the Eagles got to do to get back here next year? Mina, like, what do you think there was actually a legitimate cause to fire Nick Sirianni potentially here?
I think, yeah, I actually do think it was legitimate just because of the mistakes in the hirings, the fact that he's an offensive coach who used to call plays and how bad play calling was, that he never stepped in, or if he did step in, failed. And I think just that they underperformed their talent level so much on that side of the ball. Defensively was more of a personnel issue.
Full house.
He has to, I don't know. He had a meeting, I know, with their ownership on Friday. My feeling is like, to justify keeping the job, he had to have a very, aggressive Was he on Klein there? Or?
Yep.
Yeah. Andy Reid's got the big red pen. He's just circling him over.
That's Gerard Carmichael. Did I just see Gerard Carmichael in the suite?
Dude.
Oh, really?
There also Cara Delevingne is there.
What is happening?
How are all these people in Buffalo? Like, yeah, that's great ball. Yeah. Well,
it's not particularly like easy to get. I guess if you have a private jet, it is. Never mind.
Yeah, like I say, I'm sure Haley Seinfeld had to be doling out like all the recommendations and tips for this week on how to find a way.
Show her. Is she ever there?
She's been there before, but for some reason, no one talks about that relationship. It's bizarre to me.
And
I don't know if that's true, Mike.
What?
I mean, it doesn't get the same level of like internet attention, maybe from football media, but there have been. I feel like I've seen it on like Dumois.
Oh, okay. Well,
look, as someone who's dated their fair share of celebrities, I can tell you.
Marshall Newhouse, a favorite of Page 6.
I feel like I see it more in like the celebrity like gossip sites than the football people being like, "Oh my God, look who's at the game."
We need to hire some of these Dumas girls to just work for the NSA because there'd be no terrorist activity anywhere.
They scare me.
Oh, nice.
Thank you for throwing it away.
Love a good lefty heave from a right-handed quarterback. Always
so many quarterbacks would just have eaten that, and it'd be a 3-yard loss and a stack for no reason.
Classic offensive lineman complaint.
I'm just saying.
It's that, and then the little pop pass underneath on jet motion that ends up counting as a passing attempt when in actuality it's spiritually a run are like the number one line items on the large agenda when we all get together at the meeting. That and I think shout out to Nate Tice this postseason for introducing, I think, to most of like it seemed like a pretty big revelation on football Twitter that when a defensive player goes for the rip, it negates the holding call.
Oh,
yeah.
I saw him getting into an argument with all the people in his mentions on that.
And he just screenshotted the rules. He's like, I don't know what else to tell you.
I don't
right
think
here.
I've actually, heard that mentioned in a broadcast.
I definitely have not.
It's very intuitive when you watch it and think about it, but
I always felt it in my heart, just could never really explain it, so I fully agree.
There's just something born inside every large boy when he first puts his hand in the dirt.
RC just noticed Jared Carmichael. He was like, "This Jared Carmichael?"
My boyfriend just texted me to tell me that.
Damn, the Jared Carmichael hype is activated right now. Man, some good tough catches from Rice and Kelce.
He's a good player, man. If they could get someone legitimate to stretch the field too, he would have so much more space to work with.
Yeah.
Well, thank God he got that ball out quick because Donovan Smith got cooked by Rousseau on that one.
I mean, Pat should just isolate every one-on-one matchup with a linebacker or a drop safety right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think my feed's behind yours.
Yeah.
All right, I won't spoil it.
It's okay. You can spoil it for me.
I
prefer to be spoiled on sporting events when I care about the outcome because the stress kills me.
I like it when it's something good that you're rooting for and people tell you from the future and then you have something to look forward to.
Exactly.
Like, I don't do that as a spoiler because I don't know why. I like it. I'm like, ooh, I can't wait. You know?
I also like when I get it and I'm the only one in the room that knows if I'm watching with other people, so I can just sit and watch for reaction shots.
So yesterday I was, I'm on YouTube. I'm a little behind. I hate that call. Oh, did he fumble?
No. Oh man.
Fumble, but Chiefs got it
Okay.
back.
Why run that to the short side of the field? I never understand that.
So that as many people as possible can converge on it in a small amount of space.
Damn, shoulder directly on the football.
Who is that? Is that Hardman?
Yeah, me.
Literally, anytime someone not named Rice Pacheco or Kelce touches the football, something bad happens.
It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
Not even trying to rag on him.
It's some insane sort of pact they made before the season, said as someone who just finished watching a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, man, he's kind of overthrowing these. Yesterday, speaking of being behind, I was about 45 seconds behind, I think, with my package. And when Jordan Love was driving, I was like, ooh, we might get to see the new overtime rules. Literally, as I put that out, he had just gotten picked.
No.
I think I actually wrote, not to jinx this.
As far as decision making, it was so opposite of like the good decisions he's been making. It made no sense to me. Like it was a horrible choice. I'm like, why'd you do that?
Tough.
Yeah, that was a pretty brutal end to. I don't know, it would have been a hell. I mean, the amount of throws he has in a given game where you just kind of like the lean forward meme where I was like, oh wow, like
Baker Mayfield interception, a game-ending interception hit me harder. I'm not gonna lie.
You were on the train. You were starting to root for him.
I was. I think it also would have been funny for Baker Mayfield to follow up the Tom Brady Bucs Super Bowl. Not that I thought there was any maybe a 0.3% chance it would happen, but it would have been great for the takes, man. I'm happy for Detroit though.
What does Baker ask for? Like, what is he reasonably going to get? Could be like a retread technically, but I mean,
like a Ryan Tannehill style 2-year contract that's in the 20s, high 20s, low 30s. Which sounds insane, but that's actually like totally affordable now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the Lions. I love the Lions posting, I think you should leave content and Detroiters content that probably like 2% of NFL fans understand. It's great.
Especially like their fan base. Like I feel like outside of the Bills, there aren't that many like terminally online NFL fan bases. I guess the Seahawks too would fall into that. Like you guys are probably the OGs in that. The Chargers in there too, but Detroit doesn't strike me as a fan base that lives and dies on the internet the same way.
But like I know a few people in Detroit that are like super into Detroiters, so maybe there's like a higher share of people that, watch it because it's very uber Detroit.
But Bills fans are throwing snowballs at the Chiefs receivers. And
again, we're gonna go through this again.
I
Weren't
saw
there snowballs last week.
Yes.
Oh my god.
They're cheaters, man. What can I say?
I mean, we eradicated the. Can I say this on DraftKings? The dildos, and then we're going to snowball.
I like how you asked and then just immediately launched for it. Like, hey,
I gave the producers a chance to just
What was the game last year where they had to make him stop? You remember that? Like they had to go into the stands and be like, "You all need to stop, or you'll get kicked out of the game."
Oh my god!
With the snowball.
Tap on the wrist. Don't.
Was it a Bills game?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a Bills game.
Let
me Google it.
So they got a talking to this week apparently.
Good, they should. They almost hit.
It was Bills Dolphins last year, Mina.
Yeah, the ref announced to the whole stadium that they would get that the Bills would get a 15-yard penalty if their fans kept throwing snowballs.
If those fans had any comedic timing, a snowball would have hit that official in the face as soon as he was making that.
Pointing this out, then Dolphins fans should have started throwing them to try to get the penalty.
Ooh, yeah, chestnut checkers.
Go buy a Bills jersey and fake it, yeah.
We need more sleeper cells inside NFL fan bases.
Mike, I discovered, if you saw that shot of Josh Allen, too late in my career, that you can get the equipment managers to sew a warm pocket into the jersey. And so the years where I wasn't starting, I discovered it too late to get them to like hook me up for the sideline so I could just have a little hoodie pocket while I'm sitting there on the sidelines.
I've heard about that, and I've wondered, why doesn't everyone have a warm pocket?
It's just one more thing to grab onto, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How warm are those giant parkas, Marshall, on the sideline?
They are in and of themselves are not warm, but nothing gets in. So the trick is either you have it on front or backwards, and you fill it with heat from the bench or the heater, and it just sits there, and you're like toasted. And then as soon as you take it off, it's like game over. You're like a icicle again, but they're just really good insulated.
Dear God.
I need one of
those heated benches with that like coming up under every like everything in your body and then putting on a warm helmet when you put it on the thing on the sideline are such a godsend.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently we've got a 5-minute Stugotz warning, so
terrifying.
I'll still believe that when I see it, but
I got a dip in a second, so it's not related to that.
Oh no!
Right now, is this my warning to really get out?
This is your warning that something wicked this way comes, and I don't know what's going to happen when it gets here.
Has Allen thrown it more than 15 yards downfield?
Not that I've seen yet.
He tried that one to Stephon Diggs over the middle, like he got hit, but that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That sent Mike Edwards out of the game. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. We got beef in the backfield. Didn't necessarily work out super well, but
All right, got a good tackle. Who's Connor?
I was just wondering the same thing.
They're probably explaining on the broadcast.
know,
probably because Edwards got hurt.
I do miss not being able to hear Tony Romo freaking out a little bit.
Right before I logged on to this, I turned the TV on, and the first words out of his mouth were something about Patrick Mahomes naysayers, and I was like, "What?"
Oh,
I heard that too. I heard that too, and I was like, I don't think he's online. Oh, there you go, Mina. Oh,
And good. Yeah, I can call it. Well played.
Damn.
Mina, after you change the diaper, do you do the seatbelt clamp signal in front of your baby?
For the longest time, I thought that was them like sheathing a sword. It took me way too long to realize that it was strapping someone in.
I'm gonna start making the first down sign to my husband when he falls asleep. We're sleep training him right now.
Ooh, big time. Damn, good tackle by the mystery man, Connor.
It's a good series.
yeah, Spags is spagging.
It's funny with like the Joe Brady stuff because like on net it's like wow it looks better or whatever, but then when you like it's like oh they have 10 points, and then when you look at the stats,
Right.
it's not they're actually you know what I mean? It's kind of
For sure.
I think
Mina, I just got in an argument with another Steelers fan about if we want Ken Dorsey to be the offensive coordinator. So
I think he's pretty good. I don't know.
Mina, to that point, I think they really if Gabriel Davis was like a consistent 2, their entire offense is different. But he just like you don't know what you're getting from him, so it's like it's Diggs and then Josh Allen has to make a play.
Oh, it's getting chippy, net Jim.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just simulating it. Yeah, I totally agree, Marshall. Shakir sometimes. I mean,
yeah.
The Davis thing is so weird too because like it's like every 1 out of every 3 games he's the best wide receiver on earth.
Yeah.
I said Gabe Davis is the Buffalo Bills version of like LeBron James getting hot from 3, where if he's on that day, you just have no chance because they've already got everything else. But most of the time you're like, all right, this is usually not a great option for us.
All right, y'all.
Mina, thanks, buddy.
Bye.
hi, Mina.
See you in Vegas. Everyone, Mina Kimes, the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny. Check it out. She doesn't need pub from us. She's one of the biggest sports podcasts on earth.
She's like, what do you guys think about? And I'm like, I want to hear what you think about this football thing.
That's my favorite Tony Romoism about him in the broadcast booth is you get to all these situations where it's supposed to be the play-by-play guy asks the former player, hey, what do you want to do in this situation down and distance-wise, or what do you think happened on this replay? And Tony's like, what do you think here, Jim? What would you do? And they're like, no one wants to know what Jim Nantz would do in this.
Right.
Or when Tony's just like, I don't know. Or like, you're paying paid to know. Like, you say something.
Oh man, but it's my favorite. It's my favorite Tony Romo tick is the like just when you can't find the words. Mike, I sent you the Taylor Swift inspired food.
Ooh,
So
all right, let me check this
please
out.
give us a reaction during this commercial break.
All right, I'm opening this up. Taylor Swift themed food will be sold during the Bills NFL playoff game.
When you said you hadn't seen this, by the way, I was like, "Oh, I got ball sack sports." Like, if Mike would have known this if this.
Damn, you just got sacked. All right, let's see what we've got here on the menu. All right, well, Bills will introduce one of two new options for Sunday's game called the Bad Blood Fries. There's also the Karma Quesadilla, which features chicken tendies, bacon, and pork belly between two shells. All right, very into that one. Love a good quesadilla. And I think an elite stadium food just because of like how it's structured, how easy it is to hold.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to lie.
Avoid blood, regardless of it's.
I agree. That was I was like, I don't want to order anything called bad blood. That just to me reeks of like we're getting botulism from this from whatever pork belly this is.
It's like, baby, now you're not going to be able to give blood after this because they're going to find something weird the next time they go and draw.
Oh man.
All right, yeah, those look.
It doesn't look bad.
No, down for the quesadilla. I will say yesterday was my proudest achievement as a sports fan. I went to that Niners game and I flew there with no bag or anything because it was a day trip. I was leaving in the morning, coming back at night with a friend. So we went no bags, just clothes on our back. I got to the airport and realized the jacket that I had brought for the game because it was going to be cold was like covered in dirt on the elbows. I don't know how it got there or what I was doing, but I was like, I can't wear this. So I stashed it. And when we got to San Fran, I stopped at a Banana Republic and bought a jacket. I have never gotten more outfit compliments in my life from strangers in person than on this, but it was like a white cream colored, very soft like jacket. And I did not get a single drop of anything. And I ate a cheesesteak, chicken tenders, pizza, multiple desserts during that game and spilled on nothing. So that is my proudest achievement.
This jacket.
Yeah. That's the one. Shout out to the Banana Republic.
You know what? When I saw you post this picture, I was like, that's a nice jacket that I'm not even kidding. Like I complimented you in private.
This is when the thick boys are most versatile, was when the weather's between
so true
32 and 72. We get options now. We get layers that don't make us sweat and we can throw some stuff together. All right.
You know what? I agree with you. And that's why I get so excited for, it's like that meme that's like, I can't wait till fall so I can really start dressing, but like actually, because in Miami, like when you have an opportunity to layer, really opens up the wardrobe.
For sure.
For big guys too, we
Golic
generally
Family Foundation hoodie on, Mike. I see it.
See? Check it out there. Always advertising for the for the tournament.
And Mike, you're now officially part of Can Buy Off the Rack Club, so I'm working my way there. I'm just not there quite yet. So that idea you could even go to a store, a brick and mortar, and get what you need.
Dude, Marshall, I had the most humbling experience of that in college. I went to an Urban Outfitters by Notre Dame's campus, and I walked in there to like browse around, and I looked up at the employee that was over folding shirts. And at that point, I was, between a 2 and a 3X on any given week. And the guy's folding shirts, and I like make the eyes over like I was going to ask him a question. He looks up at me, sees me, shakes his head, and then goes right back down to folding.
No.
Well, shout out Eddie Street, though.
Yeah, it's. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
Butt naked open. Oh, wow. He did the heart.
The heart.
Oh, he did the heart.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, hold on. Okay, we Michelle Tafoya is who she is now, but I'll leave it at that. But her guess that Kelce's retiring with his brother this year. What do you feel about that? Anything like?
I think Travis got asked about that and said that he was planning on playing again next year. Now he did mention it in one of he's done a bunch of spreads in magazines and a bunch of long form interviews, and did say he's contemplated it more than people know because of the pain that he deals with in the off season and stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised if he came back for one more, especially if they like didn't win. You know, if they won the Super Bowl this year, could I see him trying to ride off into the sunset? Probably, but oh, Jason Kelce shirtless. Let's go.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Sexy Batman.
Explain the significance. This is a Taylor Swift thing. Oh, puppy.
Oh, hello. Who is this angel?
This is Jinx. He's
Hmm.
shy and hates being held.
Oh,
He doesn't look very comfortable.
He's not comfortable at all.
Dad, please.
Oh, but he's
Oh,
so
he's
cute.
13, so he doesn't like being.
Oh, we love a mature gentleman.
We really do. Senior dogs
Oh.
are so sweet.
He's a cutie baby. Oh my God.
Explain.
Jess, oh yeah, that's just like Taylor Swift does this at all her concerts to her
Okay.
fans and stuff like that. Like it's a universally accepted Swiftie symbol
Okay,
of affection that now
I'm
we've got
not.
forever.
Yeah, I'm glad you explained that because I didn't know if there was anything deeper. I mean, I guess that's
Well,
deep
and like
enough.
it's cool too because Travis normally, and Marshall, you can check me on this. Travis has always been doing the Archer celebration, right? When
He's done that, or he's done some South Dallas boogie stanky leg combination.
oh yeah,
You know, but yeah, this is a turn.
this
My man's heart is softened.
It's so funny. All the Swifties latch on anytime he talks about her on New Heights and watches how quickly he code switches because he's like, "Oh, thanks, Tay!" Like immediately.
There was that all those stories. So I think maybe our Golic and Smetty producer told me and your dad about Aubrey. She said that there was a report that Taylor and Travis were going through the roughest patch in their relationship a few weeks ago, and that the Christmas Raiders game was like so hard on them or something like that. So you know, this is a good little reassurance to the fans that all is well. I think. Am I doing the Swiftie thing right, Mike?
You're nailing this right now, Jess. Welcome. You're like this is like when Stephen A. Smith went and defended her on his podcast, and Swifties were freaking out because max level sports world validation. But yeah, you crushed it there.
Yes. Oh man.
One of us.
I do. I mean, I do like thoroughly enjoy the content. I think that there's something about God, what a shot of Jason Kelce just living his best life.
That's what retirement is supposed to look like, people. That's what it's supposed to be.
Hell yeah.
That's what People's Sexiest Man Alive is supposed to look like. Not one of. You made a mistake, magazine.
He was tailgating in the Buffalo fan section. Like he was on, I don't know if he went through a table, but he was near tables and he was with all the Bills fans.
He did the bowling ball shot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
gross. So gross. You could not pay me to do that.
Really?
No, it's
Is it just a shot out of a bowling ball? Is that all it is?
Yeah, but I'm assuming it's a bowling ball that at some point has been bowled with. And if it's not, then I would do it. But if it has had like the dirty fingers inside, I don't want anything to do with
This one's
it.
just my shooting bowling ball. I don't use this for the finger variety. I don't know why I just assigned like Texas prospector voice to Buffalo fans.
That was Yosemite Golic right there.
By the way, look at the girl in the background over Travis's right shoulder. It looks like just fully checking out his ass and like biting her bottom lip. That's so sexualized. I hope that's Kylie, or else she's gonna murder that girl.
No, all I want to say about the Taylor Swift stuff is the more mad people get that she's like on TV, the more I'm like, show her more. Show her. I just want like a Manning cast of just Taylor Swift watching the Chiefs game, talking to Donna Kelce, because it makes people so mad.
Ridiculous opinions about something that is genuinely has nothing to do with football or their team, and it makes them being more mad. I agree, makes me like laugh more. I'm like, how are you this upset about something?
This is it's like the celebrity version of when people will get mad at players for having a life outside of the building, and they're like, you should be in your playbook. It's like, I filmed a 5-minute segment on my off day. What do you want from me? I do agree too. They should just do it like they did with the Aaron Judge cut-ins for college football games. just constantly going to her and the sound, turning the sound in the press box so we hear their conversation.
That made me mad. The Aaron Judge cut-ins was like the most mad I've been at any programming choice in my lifetime. I was like, they're not the same sport. If I was watching a different baseball game and you were cutting in, then fine. You know I'm a baseball fan, but I'm trying to watch this Clemson Wake Forest game and see Sam Hartman and who was it? DJ Uyunglele trade touchdowns for 4 quarters. Man, I forgot who. I was like, who's playing quarterback for Clemson? Like that completely slipped my mind. 2 transfer portals ago.
Is DJ Florida State now? Is that where he committed?
Yeah.
Ugh. He's not good.
He had a little bit of a rebound year this year.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
he was in obscurity in the Pacific Northwest. Are we sure? Is that or was he just out of the
Let's see.
Or Oregon State's like it's a weird spot for that because Jonathan Smith basically asks you to throw the football into a tight window like 3 times a game. The rest, it's like you get a play action boot to a wide open receiver who I think now their best receiver is one of the guys that portaled to Texas too. Like you can basically slot in Texas, Georgia, and Ohio State for 3 of the top seeds next year automatically.
Purely on stars on the roster for sure.
Yeah. That's my favorite next gen stat, by the way, the aggressiveness. Is that what it's called? Like aggressiveness percentage or something like that? And it's like throws in, like, I think Kenny Pickett is like first in the NFL for that. And I'm like, yeah, number 1.
That's like actually kind of bad. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like this now. Why does he have to throw to so many tight windows?
Right. It's like, are we making the best choices here? Are we sure this is the right one?
It is uninsurable. He's so aggressive.
But I love that it's called that because it sounds like a good thing.
He's what's his name? Ruben Pfeffer from Along Came Polly. Is this crocodile wrestling, volcano losing, son of a bitch gonna die or not? And the answer is no.
Shout out Phil Sy.
Man. Rest in power.
Well, DJ, you pretty similar stat line to last year, but
yeah, I mean, listen, for college, he's like you couldn't. It's hard to do better than him, but like I don't think they're gonna. If you're Florida State and you just got left out of the playoff, you didn't get better. So I'm curious about that one.
No, you definitely didn't get better. And like, I forget, like Keon Coleman's going to be gone. I think Johnny Wilson's gone from that receiver room too. Like
they have a lot of like holes they have to fill.
College football's basically become like, I can't really look and try and digest the rosters until like August. Cause there's
August like 30th. Yeah, right. Exactly. Like wait until week 0 and then especially like now it's funny because the portal will reopen after spring ball and then like everything that you think now could change again, especially now that the transfer rules have changed again.
We're not even a year removed from when Colorado had their spring game televised and then like 30 people left after
That's a good call. That was crazy. Yeah.
Good
wow.
Dang. That was nifty.
I that was so good.
Nick Bolton's a freaking dude, though. But not the dude I'd want covering Stephon Diggs.
No.
Yeah.
Levels to it.
Yeah. I don't want your life. As we're nearing the end of the first half, apparently we will have Dad and Stugotz both I know we'll have my dad at halftime. Stugotz, I'm very curious to see how we've managed to pull this off.
You know his dog's going to be barking in the background or his mic's going to be unplugged.
We've got him in the waiting room here. Apparently this is actually real and we've got Stugotz's camera online. He's not there, but in theory he will be.
I need to make an official acquaintance with him because my only interaction wasn't even talking to him, but it was in Arizona media, Super Bowl media, and he had his foot on a human footstool, also known as what's the guy's name? One of the producers or engineers.
Was it Billy?
No, it wasn't Billy. It was
Chris Cody?
No, it wasn't one of the main cast. It was
who was this? I remember this bit, but I like
he had
Danny. It was Danny.
It was Danny. And I walked by and
Hank.
I talked to Danny. I'm like, what's up, man? You know, and he's like, don't worry about it. I was like, okay.
I don't remember why they were doing that now that I think about it.
Human footstool, Danny. I was like, all right, okay.
Oh, poor Danny. He didn't ask for any of this.
No one should have to be that close to Stugotz's feet.
I know. And also, like, Billy would never agree to that. I don't know why I said Billy.
Yeah, no, I would like a camera on Billy when Stugotz asked him to be near his feet.
Just like the shortest no you ever heard in your life.
And just followed by like a 30-minute rant about something related to feet that Billy's been pissed off about lately.
How are we feeling about this half so far?
I mean, I guess about what we expected. Like, I know Mina kind of brought it up, but you know, for all the talk about the Bills' offense, this is probably going to be one of the better defenses they'd faced in a while, and certainly one that's most adept at giving you something you haven't seen, or like hyper specifically targeting your weaknesses the way Spags always does. And then Kansas City finding Jason Kelce in the playoffs for a touchdown.
Allen.
Yeah, and a bunch of Josh Allen runs.
I gotta watch that one again. I can't tell you how angry I was last weekend watching that Miles Jack. I already ranted about this to your dad. The Miles Jack penalty for the late hit after Josh Allen did I wouldn't call it a fake slide. I think a lot of people were calling it a fake slide on the internet. It was like a stutter step, but he looked like maybe he was gonna give himself up, but he didn't.
I said that to Mina, where I think he's figured out I can spam this gray area with defenders, and I'm big enough where you're afraid of getting run over and juked. And like, if I make you hesitate, then I win. And they're not going to do anything about it. They're not going to flag me. You think Jeff Van Gundy's going to have them find me? Like, no, they don't care.
I will say too, Mina and Dominique talked about this Friday. Josh also elite flop in that spot. Like all you have to do when you're a quarterback sliding is throw the head back a little bit in your hands. The minute a referee sees the head movement and all, they're just assuming it was helmet to helmet. And for these guys that will absolutely get up and call for it, flags coming out. So
he's
good.
Spamming it. He's figured out to spam it. And I don't blame him because, you know, the rule needs to be figured out, but he's making the refs like make a hard choice. And I'm like, shoot, go for it.
Yeah, man.
I played soccer growing up. I used to flop before I even knew what flopping was called. You just do that.
Flopping it.
I'm with you though. I mean, like I'm sitting here now. There's like 30 seconds left in the half, and I'm like, man, like good start for Kansas City. Like a little slow, I guess. And then I'm like looking, and I'm like, they've scored on every possession so far. So
right, it's.
I don't know what more you can ask for. Yeah.
Ball out at a half.
Do you say who gets the ball after half? Kansas City does. I think Bills started with that 7-minute long drive to start the game.
Yeah, they got a whole serve here.
God, the shots of Andy Reid's frozen mustache from last week will sustain me for such a long time.
You've been there before, right? How do you like make that comfortable when you're out there with your beard frozen?
You don't feel it, like especially with the thickness of that mustache. When the Super Bowl was in Minneapolis, I was doing the 4 to 6 Eastern radio show still, so I was going over to Mall of America at like 1:30 in the morning Central Time, and I would shower to wake myself up at the hotel. But I forgot for the first couple of days I didn't fully dry my beard. Oh God, what a bad drop, Jesus. But I forgot to dry my beard the whole way, and so I was walking in and like I'm, Canada Goose, like everything up here, like to make sure I'm warm. And then I get inside and I go to like reflexively grab my beard and I just feel it crunching in my hands. I'm like, oh God.
Oh no. Yeah, I wasn't getting up quite that early when I was in Minnesota, but going to Mall of America at like 7 a.m. was also terrible. And if your hair, like my hair has been frozen numerous times in my life because it's long and I've lived in many cold places, but not fun.
Oh. Well, they're giving it to him.
Wow.
I might need to see a replay of that.
Buffalo's got 2 timeouts here. You can figure out what you're going to do, son. Oh, wow. He caught that.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
They're going to take a look at that?
You got the hand underneath.
Yeah.
I think he caught that. Hopefully Andy didn't waste the challenge.
Is it automatically reviewed within
under 2 minutes?
2 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, that's a catch. Speaking of that Mall of America Super Bowl, it is a good reminder that no cold weather city should ever host a Super Bowl ever again.
Man,
Dude, Las Vegas, it's going to be cold.
But there's differences.
Like they were regulating traffic downtown in Minneapolis with military grade Humvees because there was so much snow on the ground by Thursday. I was like, we don't need to do this. It
was miserable. I agree. I mean, that was the first Super Bowl I ever covered too, and I was like, well, I guess be careful what you wish for. But no, it's gonna be cold.
Half the football or media entities basically backed out within a week. I was like, oh, okay. I'm not going.
Like, I don't need more of
this right now.
I read somewhere that in order to host the Super Bowl, you have to have like access to golf for the executives the week leading up or something. I don't know if that's true, but certainly that year that did not happen.
Jesus, what an ox. He really is like the closest thing to Cam Newton automatic there is once you get inside like the 10-yard line. Like you'd be an idiot not to just hammer him 3 straight times up there and call it a day.
Do you think Kansas City gets a chance to score before half? There's 26 seconds. They have a timeout.
I don't know if this version of Kansas City does, but I mean,
I've seen Pat throw, they've done the 13 seconds thing, and then it all depends on this kickoff, but
yeah. I hate Marshall. Where are you at? I hate when teams do the probing run in those situations where it's like, all right, let's see if we pop this run. And if we get it, we'll get up and go. Like if you're going to try for it and you got a dude at quarterback, I don't know why you'd burn the down. Like, let's just start going.
I had a lot of OCs who would do that or run a screen. And I was like, well, what are we doing here? And so then they would decide after that, whether it was the rest of it was worth it. And I never understood the justification for it, but.
Yeah. Ooh, windy one there. We just got a little sneak preview of Dad popping in the chat there. I think he just popped up. And
underrated story, Kyle Allen being the backup to Josh Allen in Buffalo.
Ooh.
His cousin.
Damn, that's right. I forgot they're related.
Yeah.
I mean, lows in the 40s in the desert. You're telling me that's not cold? Come on.
It's cold, but like, again, there's not going to be snow on the ground there. It's not going to be prohibitive. It's just going to mean we're going to have to wear a jacket.
Are y'all going to be out in like the pool area the whole time, or you will be indoors most of it?
Yeah, Jess, do you guys know what your setup is?
Oh, yeah, our show is at, I wish I had the liner in front of me. I could have done like a cool little read there. The Circa at the stadium pool deck, I believe it's called, Thursday and Friday. I will stadium swim. Thank you, Hank. I think 10 to 12 local time. You can get your tickets online at.
That's great. I mean, overall, pretty great read here. We could just sub that in post. Wait, Jess, are you guys doing a Moss event there too?
I'm not. No. So I don't think we're doing like a separate Moss event, but let's see. circavegas.com/stadium swim, I believe. If you Google it, you'll be able to find it. I trust everyone listening to this. You can get your tickets there, though.
I do think we've got a lot of Levitard Show fans in the chat watching this, so I have.
Well, they're waiting for Stu to get on, probably. He'll
know.
He'll definitely know the details.
Yeah.
He's been paying a lot of attention.
Oh man, yeah, he'll be. We'll make sure we put him on the spot with that one and have him get the plug in.
But the pools are heated, Marshall. I will not be inside the pool. I'll probably be like.
Doesn't like unless you plan on staying for a long time. That's not like a selling point to me because then you got to get out of the pool.
Right.
It's miserable tiptoeing to the towel, tiptoeing to the inside. Yeah, I get it.
So we know for sure Tony's going to be in the pool for the entire show, though, right? That feels like his
probably
lane.
That feels like something Dan will make him do.
Yeah, I guess the walk into the ocean got a lot easier. Oh, we got Dad. We got Dad popping in here now, who just I think got checked because he was about to get us in trouble with broadcasting issues by having a game on him within the shot.
Yeah, I had the game on. That's my bad. Hey, you know what? I'm just trying to test the rules here. Jess, you guys have a great spot by the pool. I was when I was out there. Yeah, I actually
take a dip.
I sent a pic. No, I forgot my Speedo. I sent a picture to Stu of where it was. It's really nice. Circa is phenomenal. It's a great area out by the
I'm
pool
pumped.
deck.
It's gonna be great.
Monster screens out there. Yeah. You're just nowhere near the Strip. It's just downtown. So if you have to come to the Strip for anything, it's a bit of a haul. Later in the week, it'll be, traffic will be crazy.
Well, I'll be coming to Radio Row to do our show with you, Mike.
Yes, so. And you're going to come on with me and Mike as well.
So fun times.
That's yes,
I'm pumped.
Will. Yeah, going to be a good time.
So if you're in Vegas, give us a shout. Come to Circus Swim, Stadium Swim. It's a lot of S sounds. I'll get the hang of this.
I thought you hit the read pretty well, Jess. Well done.
CircaLasVegas.com/stadium swim/Dan Lebitard show. And there are hyphens between all those words. So
dismount. Love it.
Mike, how was your travel situation? Better than last weekend? You make it home okay?
Yeah, much better than last weekend. That was Dallas coming back. Everybody had trouble. Ryan Leaf did the sideline for Westwood One for the Buffalo game last week, which was delayed, the way it was delayed a day or two for the snow. And then he didn't get out of Buffalo till Wednesday.
Oof.
Yeah. And he had to go to Rochester to get a flight. So, that's one thing I'll say. At least I wasn't in the cold or the snow. I wasn't in Kansas City or Buffalo, just being in Dallas where it was very cold, and they are horrible at handling it. And it's not like it's never cold there. It gets cold there at times. Their ability to de-ice and handle the bad weather, that was worse than actually the Cowboys played. Was how they handled everything. It was absolutely brutal. But yeah, this coming back out of San Francisco was pretty easy to do.
I'm glad.
Marshall, when you guys won the Super Bowl, where was it?
It was in Dallas, and it's the reason why Jerry will probably never get another one in his lifetime. Because there was Texas has schizophrenic weather. There was just a flash freeze. Literally the week before, it was 73. And then during the Super Bowl week, there was a little bit of precipitation, black ice everywhere, and it shut most of the Metroplex down, which people who if you're familiar, Dallas and Fort Worth combined are the Metroplex, the stadium's in the middle. And then on top of that, Jerry tried to break the record. So they added 15,000 seats.
Standing room only seats.
I remember that.
We're completely against OSHA code, I think.
That was a horrible week because there were events between, you had to go back and forth between Dallas and Fort Worth, and they were so ill prepared because they never get that of salting the roads or any kind of plows or anything. It was awful. I've been to two of those. The one in Atlanta before that, they had a big freeze in Atlanta, and that was another brutal area that doesn't really handle it well. And there's Stu. Wow,
Stugotz in the flesh.
Smetty, I don't know. Is this a sad thing to say? I don't know. I'm more impressed that Smetty is up this late than Mike Golic Sr.
He's on the West Coast.
Wait a minute, it's only 6:07 where I am, Stu.
Yeah. Okay, Mike.
I'll be in bed in about a half hour.
Stu, here's the thing. I volunteered to do the early shift on the watch along because I know by 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm going to start fading here. I already had my nighttime tea.
Yeah.
But I wanted to wait for you and Mike to join because you guys are among my favorites. So
that's very nice of you. I also the gummy for me is going to kick in at 8:30, so I'm out of here.
There you go. So we've got Stugotz right in the window right now. We're waiting for everything to go into effect. This is perfect.
Me saying I'm being honest. That's the only thing I'm honest about. Is that?
Are we just gonna watch the width of your eyes shrink over the next 20 minutes?
No, you won't. I won't allow you the joy of seeing that happen. I'll be off before that.
But
they're giving us exactly what we want. Gojo, I feel like I'm watching the Super Bowl. I really do. And all I'm doing is watching two teams fight for the right to go play Lamar Jackson in Baltimore.
I was going to say, I keep forgetting that there's the final boss coming after this game because we've been used to this one basically being the Super Bowl. Has this been your favorite game of the weekend so far, Stu?
No, well, I like the Lions game.
Yeah,
I did. I enjoyed that. Mike, Mike Golic Sr., you enjoyed that, right? They're America's team now.
Oh, they are. Listen, and doing the game the night before, Green Bay, I mean, if they kind of imploded on themselves a bit. They were giving San Francisco all they could handle. They keep talking about rust versus, rust versus rest and all that kind of thing. And Brock Purdy was off in that game. He was not making some good throws, put a great drive together at the end, hit Juwan Jennings with an incredible pass over the middle on that final drive. But he was off in that game. And the big question for them is going to be Deebo Samuel. Hurt his shoulder again, like he did in week 6 against Cleveland, this week 7 and 8. So is he going to be available next week? Because that offense is different. You got guys like Ray McLeod who had 12 catches coming in to that game. He had to play more. Chris Conley had 3 catches coming in. He had to play more. Juwan Jennings obviously as well. So, you kind of still go through CMC, but when you have to add other people in because Deebo was out, that kind of affected him a little bit.
So of the quarterbacks that you would or wouldn't want to see as an opposing team right now left in the postseason, Stugotz, is Lamar Jackson up at the top, or is Josh Allen somehow jumped over that at this point? Where are you at with those two?
I'm not sure. I can tell you what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson. Okay. This is what the media is going to do. This week, he's the best quarterback in the league. He's the best player, most important player in the NFL. But if God forbid he loses to Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes at home with a chance to go to the Super Bowl, those same people who said those great things about him this week, Mike Golic is shaking his head. He's agreeing with me because we know the media game. We've been doing it for so long, and Lord knows I'm going to do it. Those same people will be crushing the following week.
I was going to say, Stugotz, you were first to market on reminding Travis Kelce how everything was going to go for him down the stretch of the season. So
yeah, Stugotz isn't going to say it, but everyone else is going to say it. And Stugotz is going to tell you that everyone else is going to say it.
I'm going to say it. I'm just trying to help out a friend in Lamar Jackson and tell him that's what's going to happen if he loses. Sunday.
Is the entirety of sports media just a huge hedge fund?
Yes.
You're just
of course. Kidding me? I have the Bills on like 3 different platforms. I took the Bills by 7, the Bills by 14, and the Bills by 21.
Oh, jeez.
We were so close to the all NFC North NFC Championship game. Oh my God, it would have been so electric.
Oh. Could you imagine how damaging that would have been? Because now if you're the Lions and you lose to the 49ers, even though the 49ers looked like they should have lost this last weekend, it's looked at as, all right, the 49ers have been the perennial powerhouse. If you're Detroit, you've won above and beyond. Like, you've done everything you wanted to under Dan Campbell, and you're still building towards something. But if they lost to the Packers in that game, I mean, that would, I've never remember which way the scale goes for DEFCON, but whatever the highest DEFCON would be, it would be that.
It's either 1 or 5.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. I never know.
I mean, the Packers are going to be sick. I mean, they had 5 trips to the red zone, 2 field goals, 2 touchdowns, and didn't get it on 4th and short. They dropped 2 interceptions. One was going to be a pick 6. Darnell Savage had a pick 6 in his hands, and they missed a field goal. I mean, you can't do that against a team like San Francisco, because while Detroit is without question America's team, that defense is going to have their hands full against that San Francisco offense. No doubt about it. Now, the Detroit offense can score as well, but that pressure is really going to be on that Detroit defense.
I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs and Christian McCaffrey look like the 2 best running backs in the NFL for the last few weeks. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs probably has more competition than that, but second half of that game, I mean, he was the entire difference for them. Him and Sam
Josh
Laporta
Allen.
Just not wrong.
Yeah.
Stu, I found a good stat that you can talk about on the Levitard show tomorrow. This is from Mitch Goldich, one of my former coworkers at Sports Illustrated. He said, with the Lions win, 27 different teams have been to the conference title game more recently than the Cowboys. The only teams that haven't are the Texans, Browns, Commanders, and the Dolphins.
Wow.
I will use that. Yeah.
Your guys' string of anti-Dolphins playoff stats this week was really something.
I got to be honest with you guys. I found myself getting jealous of Lions fans. Like the Lions they're all I have as a Jet fan. That's it. They're the only fan base that's the worst that I've had. And I wasn't happy seeing them happy. I mean, just like if
you were the only person.
It's Mike. It's Gojo. It's the only franchise that has been worse than my franchise.
It's like you're in rehab, and then your last friend in rehab gets clean, and you're like, no.
The last one there, last man standing. And I would imagine, I'd imagine you're already knowing or thinking the same thing's going to happen next year. That Aaron Rodgers is going to get hurt again.
If we make it to, I mean, not we, like as a planet, but like if he makes it to next year, you know,
Also there though.
As a planet, is that I didn't know it was a question mark. What is that?
Election year. I don't know.
Oh my God. All right, Jan Lebitard.
Is there a meteor coming? We got Armageddon going up. We got to send
Jess.
Bruce Willis up or what?
The grief eater Stugotz.
Mina did call me Dan last week. I mean, it was weird.
That was weird. I didn't like that.
Yes.
Wait, Stugotz, someone in the chat asked, John Durney, did Brock Purdy officially do it in the playoffs?
No, do it again.
I mean, I would agree with Stu. I don't think he did it in the playoffs.
He didn't play well, Mike. I mean, Mike Golic Jr. said that earlier.
The amount of people on Twitter saying, look at, now you got to be a believer. I mean, this guy completed 69% of his passes during the regular season. He was at 55, 58% in this one. I mean, missing. Jordan Love was missing as well. But, Brock's had a little more experience. He was just missing throws. So you do wonder if the time off, he had basically 19 days off sitting that last game, if it had an effect. Because, we get asked this all the time, right? Marshall, that's rust versus rest. What is it? And as I always said, it's kind of like a bye week. You can justify it any way you want. If you get the rest, you justify the rest. If you don't get the rest, you justify the continuity of continuing to play. But he was really off. Now, I could see him being off like he was with Ray McLeod ran a corner route and he was wide open, and Purdy threw it to his inside and missed him completely. And Purdy was hot at Ray for the route. And I thought, my God, he's wide open. I mean, but I think he thought he was going in, but the safety was there. So I thought if it was a choice, it was a choice. It was a good choice by Ray. So maybe he didn't have enough work with the other guys that had come in when Debo went out. But no, Jess, to answer you and Stu, I mean, Brock was off in this one. Had a great drive at the end. Again, had a great pass to Jennings over the middle, which was unbelievable. Jennings climbing the ladder for it. But, he was not at his best by any stretch.
For a team like San Francisco that's so reliant on all of their best weapons being healthy for them to thrive, the rest was more important. But, again, I think it's like you said, the Rorschach test of it depends on how it goes. It's how you react to it. But we kind of forgot that there was like a light drizzle. And the reason that Brock Purdy was Mr. Relevant was one of the reasons that it's a very scout, deep analytical thing was he has small hands. Yeah. And he looked like he wasn't controlling a wet ball very well. And I don't want to begrudge somebody for that because I think it's overblown in a lot of cases. But there's a reason that people have concern over sometimes.
There was a time he was in the pocket. He was in the pocket getting ready to throw. He took his hand off the ball and wiped his fingers on the towel that was in his pants during the play. Oh, while he was fading back into the pocket, took his right hand off the ball, wiped him off on the towel, and put it back. I was like, wow. I mean, that was pretty impressive. And
like
real
a Matrix ass move from Brock is that.
Right? Yeah. And real quickly, a bow on Green Bay, man, just like Houston has a lot to look forward to, so does Green Bay. Now, Jordan Love tried to play hero ball at the end. I mean, Matt LaFleur is going to sit him down and say, listen, we needed 25 yards to be in field goal range to tie the game. There's 40 seconds to go, and we still have a timeout. There's no need to throw that ball across your body the way you did that was floating there like a hot air balloon to be picked off, because they're the fourth youngest team to ever make the playoffs, the youngest team to ever win a playoff game. So the future is bright there for sure, just like in Houston. So I look forward to those two teams, going forward in the years to come.
But Mike, if I told you could have Jordan Love or Brock Purdy for the next 10 years, you would sprint to Jordan Love, right? Like that.
Well, I tell you what, I mean,
you would sprint to him.
His poise from the beginning of the season to where he was at the end. Now, this wasn't one of his better games. He threw 2 interceptions, and they were both on him. And he had thrown in the last 8 regular season games, he had 18 touchdowns and 1 interception. And then he had a monster game against Dallas in the wild card game. Those two picks were on him. He's young. It was young hero ball, the last interception, like I said. But he is something to watch. He has patience in the pocket, his sliding. He showed a lot more poise toward that end of the season. Really like what he's done. I think Green Bay's done it pretty well of going from quarterback to quarterback. Now, we got a long way to go with Jordan. I'm not saying Yeah,
Guys
I'm
have
not
done
going
very well in taking
you
these
know.
quarterbacks at the very end of their careers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
Jordan Love. This puts him at what? Jets quarterback circa 2032.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
37, Mike.
I
37.
feel like
there we go.
the best question is would you rather have Stroud or Love next season, right? Like it's a better debate. Also, only a 12% chance of rain.
No, but I think you would take a lot of quarterbacks over Brock Purdy. Like that's the funny thing.
Yeah,
about this, you know, that's crazy.
Oh, wow. Dominique Foxworth joining the chat here.
Look at the color in the background there.
Yes.
Isn't that nice?
Ooh.
Man.
Wow, what a vibe going there.
Northwestern, huh? I mean,
You thought I was going to show up like a normie? Get out of here.
Wow.
Say this is what you get with the Dominique Foxworth show.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way,
High
we pubbed it
quality
before.
production and overwhelmingly handsome dudes, kind of like Senior. You know how we do.
just made
There
us
you go.
cooler, just made us a lot more handsome.
I got kicked off early, Dominic. I got kicked off because the TV behind me, I had the game on, which I guess.
Oh,
you're
Mike,
not
you
supposed
kicked
to do.
yourself off. Get out of here.
No, I didn't. I got
Tried to get us sued by CBS.
I got banished pretty quick.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Fitz, too? What the hell's
Jason's
going on
here.
here?
He's going to give everybody a
Listen,
virtual
Golic-
hug.
Senior, this is great for you because the more people that come in, that means you and I can get the hell out of here. I mean, how about that?
Yeah, I
Well,
got to go.
Stugotz is waiting for the gummy to kick in right now.
Oh, it's
Jason
kicking
might
in,
be the
Mike.
only other person that's also taken part in that getting onto this call. I'm
I know,
assuming
yes.
Dominique's a professional and he showed up sober for this.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm sober.
I
gotta
am-
record my own show later. So yeah.
There you go.
No. And it's dry January, right? That we all gotta know.
Are you a dry
No,
January guy,
no,
Dominique? You
no,
already have abs.
no,
Like,
no,
what are you
never.
doing this for?
No.
I mean, I like a challenge every now and then. Dry January is in effect. Does everything have to stay dry in January? I mean, you know,
Okay.
No.
Not me.
Dominique, I feel like the challenge for you should be a fully wet January. Like, you should have to drink every day during January.
See, I will say this: like, I am wildly. I like Dominique. I have to do a show afterwards, so I am sober as can be. But I think it is weird. Like, I never partake before I work, which is only interesting because when I was
weird?
No, because when I was a musician, I certainly did. Like,
Well, I was
I had
gonna
no
say.
problem. Like, I had no
yeah,
problem.
but that's not
standing
real
up.
work. I
You
mean,
went
I'm not saying it's not difficult.
No, but I mean that was the norm, right? You got hammered to do a show, and then you
No.
went into
Hey,
a job
guys.
where you,
Hey,
most people,
hey,
don't get
hey,
hammered to do a job.
Hey,
I
I'm sorry.
mean-
Fitz,
Hold on.
you're a really talented musician. But why y'all acting like he was shredding on the bass? That man was playing the fiddle. You don't get drunk to play the fiddle?
No,
was
no,
hammered.
man.
You can't
You
get
realize how
hammered to
many
play the
thousands? There's thousands of little notes, man. Like a centimeter.
Exactly.
Yeah, like no, you got to be
Exactly.
precise, man. Precise. Yeah, no, but believe me, there are shows that pre-Van Perry particular shows that I don't remember at all. But I did that.
Hold
And-
on. Now that we're down this alley,
Yep.
do you smash the fiddle? I feel like I'm not much of a rock guy, but like the caricature of like a rock artist at some point in the show, once they really do their thing, they like smash their big guitar. You get a fiddle smash? Is that what
No.
we're doing?
No. I mean, like an inexpensive violin on the road is still a $5,000-$6,000 instrument. I ain't smashing that. Like, ain't no way I'm smashing that. No, I thought on my last show, I thought that's what I would do. I had this delusion that I was going to throw the fiddle out in the crowd. I didn't do it.
Why?
Because I cowered it out and I gave. You can tell I'm behind y'all.
You way too ahead.
I'm way behind.
We're getting
He is out
everyone's
here
internet
catching
or cable
balls.
speeds aired out
Look at
right
him.
now.
I think my
He
internet
is out here
speed's being
catching
sucked up
balls.
by this stream right now. So YouTube TV's like chugging along, trying
I
to
can't
catch
turn
up.
my TV on. This
Gojo, your poor dad. Your poor dad.
I know.
Look
my
at the
dad's
dots.
only-
Look at the dots.
Look at the
Look
dots,
at
Dad. The dots are here to
How
save
am I
you.
looking at the dots?
Dominique, really quickly, because we've got you here, and in addition to Marshall, you're like our two actual smart football people on here.
Whoa.
What was your biggest
Hey.
takeaway from the first half of that
Hey.
game?
My biggest takeaway is you guys need to up your internet speeds. First of all, get some internet, you broke boys.
It's YouTube, man. It's YouTube. I can't do anything about YouTube.
Second of all, I would say that I was really surprised at how conservative the Bills' offense was. Like they were looking. It seemed to me that, and it's smart because Josh. With most quarterbacks, you don't have that opportunity that he can make a big play out of nowhere, and they don't have to like draw up any deep shots. They didn't really take any shots at this Chiefs defense. They still got big plays because Josh is incredible. So that surprised me, and Patrick Mahomes is special. So We also had some drop passes because that's what they normally do.
Yeah.
Nothing more shocking than MVS tracking down a ball and making a tough catch down the sideline. That was
Dominique, I said on cue that the winner of this game, I think against Baltimore, it's dang near a toss-up. How do you feel about Buffalo or Kansas City challenging Lamar?
Yeah, I don't think it's dang near a toss-up, honestly. And I mean, it's football, so anything can happen, obviously, but I think the Ravens are, significantly better. That defense, the most impressive thing I saw about that defense was that they are incredibly fast and aggressive without being out of control, and they're still disciplined. It's shocking to me that in that game we saw the Bills run a triple screen, or not the Bills, excuse me. We saw the Texans run a triple screen, which you're taking advantage of the aggressiveness and speed of this defense, and they covered it. We saw them run a double reverse back to a screen, back to other side, and that's the type of stuff that they were running against the Browns, which are also a fast, aggressive defense, and it was working against them because they are not nearly as disciplined as the Ravens. It's hard to see that, and watching them play in that way was really impressive.
The Bills' fifth-string linebacker AJ Klein just rolled his ankle.
Marshall, I would say the Ravens are going to be. I would say the Ravens are going to be a 7-point favorite against either of those teams. Honestly,
okay. And I don't think either of these teams are as good as the Ravens, but I think both of these quarterbacks, to me, in that setting, could elevate them to a win. That's the way I see it, though.
Yeah, I think if I'm the Ravens, as crazy as this sounds, is I want Mahomes more than I want Josh Allen.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because there's just something about Josh Allen who's able to break the game. As special as Patrick Mahomes is, somebody's going to have to catch it.
I mean,
and they're not getting open against the Ravens DBs, because that's another thing that I saw was so impressed. They're so disciplined, and there are rules that you can break. So you try to catch the flat defender, not run into the wheel. There's things that NFL teams mess up all the time, and they were trying all of them. Houston and Bobby Sloak was trying all of them, and none of them were working against the Ravens. They held them to 3 offensive points in a playoff game against a team that was on fire. It was really impressive.
That's why defense wins championships. I think we're got to go back.
By the way, I'm sorry for slighting Dad, Stugotz, and Jess. I won't apologize for slighting Jason.
No, you were right.
Gojo, this is how I know.
Gojo,
these dots on the screen are starting to they're coming out of the screen, and so now it's my cue to leave. So I have to go.
Really, you bright and early, Stugotz.
I love all of you. I got to go. Okay.
Who's in charge of the dots,
buddy?
Whose job is it to figure out the dots? How do they do that? Somebody
aren't they wearing tracking stuff? Yeah.
I think computer is that.
I don't think someone's inputting this.
No, but somebody's got to be watching the whole thing to make sure something doesn't go haywire, right? I just wonder if there's somebody right now manning a computer to make sure the dots are all working.
I'm sure it's the same person that's in charge when we did the Toy Story game for the Jags game, to make sure that sometimes the claw machine doesn't glitch when it's pulling one of the aliens up. Oh, wow. Travis showing out for his baby tonight.
See, this ain't right, man. The TV's behind me. It's in my shot. I can't turn it on. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Get on that fiber.
Did you see the heart hands after the first touchdown? Are we going to get heart hands after everyone, or is this just
Should.
Oh, I hope football people are getting so aggravated. Jess, I heard you talking before when they show Taylor. I'm so tired of the football people. Oh, quit showing her.
I also, how many receptions is this for Kelce? Some people here, inquiring minds are asking.
Oh, got some money on.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're getting close to some Kelce receiving props, and I'm sure the Patrick Mahomes rushing total is probably one of the easiest postseason prop bets for any given game, because you're usually good to get one play where it's a designed run, but at the very least you're gonna have 5 good scramble opportunities.
I feel like Vegas has been slow on that all year, by the way. Rushing quarterbacks, Vegas has been slow to adjust on. You can make money on that all year long, it feels
Kelce is 4 for 69, 2 touchdowns. Second leading receiver is the backup tight end, Noah Gray.
Do we think he stepped out there? No, okay. They're not reviewing it. They replayed it 4 times. Just checking.
Yeah, I just got to say it, though. I don't want a whole week of this. I know we got another week to get there, but, I don't want a whole week of Taylor Swift getting into the Super Bowl. I don't want that in my life. It's just
why I love that.
I don't want half the people yelling about hating it. Half the people I just want love. I just want love coming into the Super Bowl.
Listen. I'm like Jess. I'm like Jess. I just want to feel the NFL people get hotter and hotter about it, just so I can laugh at it.
I don't mind it, and I think I agree with you, Senior. But the same way with the Deion stuff, it brings so many people who just don't know anything about this that I got to argue with over like rudimentary football stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I think one of the best ones. What was it? I think Jess. I think we talked about it one time. What wasn't it that one of the Swifties out there didn't understand why Travis didn't leave the game with?
Oh yeah, it was like for the Golden Globes or something. Like it was like
no, that was like the New York Daily News or something.
Yeah,
it was like
it was
one
like
of like the
Pop
rag
Brave.
mags online that I'm 1,000% was trolling people. They knew he had practice, and they also knew people would quote tweet that and engage with it and give them the clicks.
I got a conversation topic that we were talking about in my green room with my producers before I came in here, and it was brought to my attention that there's no one who wouldn't want to date Taylor Swift. And I pushed back. I was thinking that the life of going from being Travis Kelce level of celebrity or any level of celebrity to the Taylor Swift like hemisphere of celebrity seems awful. And of course it's worth it if you love her and it's fine, whatever. But like the idea that being in that life is only positive, especially if you're broke, then okay, you'll take all this BS to go along with it. But
That's
Travis
all right.
Kelce
Like,
had
it
money.
depends.
No, I get it. But Travis Kelce had money, more than enough. Had all the friends and family that he needed, and I'm sure he's enjoying it now. But a lot of it has to really suck.
You're like signing up for the rest of your life, paparazzi taking those Ben Affleck pictures of you with like a cigarette. That's forever.
We had that whole day on the internet where they went back through his old tweets. Think about how you know that by and large you've just been tweeting about like squirrel and you can't spell very well. That's still got to be kind of scary because maybe at some point you messed up.
And I don't know. I've like, for example, like I go to New York once a week, and there's been a few times where I'm like, I get turned around walking around in the city, and I just feel dumb. And I just imagine like on a much larger scale, like I can never do anything dumb again in my life because it then becomes a story. Someone's gonna be following me around, or just like I can't get lost. I can't just blend in. It just seems terrible. Travis Kelce at this point is like Kansas City. Living in Kansas City is probably pretty annoying. Going to like sports bars is pretty annoying. But everywhere else in the world, Travis Kelce can live his life. Used to. Now it sucks.
It seems exhausting too. I mean, I would need to lay down so much. I just wanted to lay on the couch.
There's also
naps, just naps.
Yeah.
How is that different from now?
Really
That's exactly right.
Exactly
Yeah.
that. How is that any
Right.
different from your normal life?
Yeah.
Now don't tell Ashley, but every like 3 to 4 years, some attractive woman will hit on me. And I
Every
smile back.
3 to 4 years.
Yeah. It's being a man is tough, man. We don't really get hit on that much. And I smile back, give him a little flirt. Travis Kelce, I can't get my every 4-year flirt on because as soon as you smile at somebody like Travis Kelce out here trying to cheat on Taylor Swift, it's absurd. Poor Travis Kelce, he deserves a raise.
That's so true. Someone went back through, and I guess because he had liked like 1 or 2 like actual models on Instagram's photos, people started reading into that. I'm like, this is what we're gonna try and take him down for.
I have a hard and fast rule. You can like pictures on the internet, like in your soul, but don't ever heart them things.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Travis Kelce is in. He needs a Finsta. He needs someone running the main account. He needs a Finsta to surf on his own, and like for the rest of your life, you can't slip up. Not even
the hardest part with that with Taylor particularly is there's so many layers around her. Like even if you have a great relationship with her, everybody's going to be talking about everything else. Like how do you separate that noise if you're not used to being a global icon? You know what I mean? Like it's just so hard. Like you can have a normal conversation with her on the couch, but then everybody's going to interpret everything a different way, you know, on Twitter and on social media. That's got to be maddening.
I think we ran away all the football fans that annoy us. We ran them all away, guys. Congratulations, we did.
Oh yeah. I mean, we can bring him back with this one. I want to know what it's been like in the booth up there tonight with Taylor and Jason Kelce, who was shirtless and just chugging beers at halftime. What a legend.
He is, and his wife's probably just looking like, another day at the office. You know, she's up there as well. Used to seeing that.
Dominique, speaking of 2 Americas, Jess texted me during the middle of this and said, white people dry January is not showering for the entire month.
That was a private text, Mike.
Not anymore. Yeah.
I wanted.
Does everybody else do dry? Like I guess for me, like I'm
I haven't showered. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, that, you know, I
respect that. Below the knees, washing your legs. Is that what it is?
Oh my gosh, what is wrong with y'all?
I'm not a big like New Year's guy. Like I'm not a big, I have a resolution now because it's January 1st. Like I was on the treadmill on the last day of December and somebody was like, just think of it. It's the last time this year you'll be on a treadmill. And the next day I was back on the treadmill. I'm like, you son of a bitch, you lied about the whole thing. Like, it's all stupid. It's all
ridiculous.
Stupid.
I'm failing at all my resolutions and we're like 3 weeks.
That's why I just don't make them. Don't make them.
I'm a
I try.
purpose-driven person. I don't need like a date to give me a resolution, you know?
I mean,
I do.
Since we have this opportunity, you brought it up, Jess. So, like, everybody on this chat showers at least once a day, right? That's a thing. Every day.
Yeah.
Well, I bathe. You know, shower.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big bath
we
guy.
take a bath?
You're a bath guy?
Oh, Dominique, wait a minute. You don't know my dad's dark secret, do you?
He's a bath man?
No. Trust me. That on the surface is fine.
I'm
my
scared.
dad's thing is, so every night, and I when I lived with my parents, when I first moved back to Connecticut and started working at ESPN, I would watch this play out. My dad would sit around every night. Ooh, Bill's rushing attack coming alive.
You can see
would
how
sit around
my face reacts to these plays about 7 seconds before yours. Get you some fiber.
I have fiber.
I do need fiber. I'm out here raw dogging it with Wi-Fi, but but no, my dad would look over at my mom and go, "Hun, are we thinking about a bath tonight?" And what happens is my mom goes in, draws a bath, takes her bath, and then leaves the bath water in. And then my dad goes in and takes a bath in the retread bath. And Dominique, that's not a sometimes thing. That is the only way he will take a bath.
So, like, I imagine that you've heard this before.
Yeah.
Like, baby, you so fine, I drink your bathwater. It's a very popular old black man line.
Yeah.
And this is the most romantic thing I've ever heard in my life because it is so disgusting. Like, I love my wife so much, but I will not, by any means, get in nobody's used bathwater.
Really?
Like when did that start, Senior? Like, what's the first time that you're like, this is a good idea?
God.
I'm gonna take a little sip. You ever take a little sip? You get in?
No, I don't drink bath water. I don't drink bath water. I mean, how did it get to me going in my wife's bath to drinking the bath water?
It's like, see,
Who the hell
again,
drinks the
I apologize.
bath water?
A large section of the internet.
This is a two Americas thing. So like when I was growing up, it was like a popular thing for like old black men to say when they're flirt with somebody. It was like, baby, you so fine, I drink your bath water. And so that when I heard that you actually climb it, that's the first thing came to my mind is like someone actually is doing something romantic-ish with bath water. So I'm sorry. There's 11% of this audience that really appreciated that reference.
I've been doing it for years. God, listen. When I take a shower, I pee in the shower and I go in my wife's bath water. What the hell? What
those
you
things
want
aren't the
from me?
same. Those are
Yeah,
not
I
the
was
same.
gonna say, don't try and act
Those are
like
not the
those
same.
things are somehow twin flames in
Do
there.
y'all not have more water? Why? Like,
Well, no, we got plenty of water, but it's already made. She, puts what she.
No,
puts
you are not trying to both sides this. No, there's not. I'm not letting that.
There's
It's
good
not
people
even
on both
war.
sides of this bath conversation.
That's not
So
one side.
no, everybody is against this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
So what happens if you want to take a bath and she doesn't? Are all things off at that point? You're like, screw it, I can't take a bath. Like,
Yeah, I
can't-
pretty much go
So-
take a shower. I don't take a bath. She
I've
makes a
heard-
great bath.
Is it
My-
still
my-
warm?
Yes.
My dad
Yes.
grew up one of 6 kids in a neighborhood in Charlotte called The Rocks. It was a housing project, and they were very poor. And they shared bath water because they had no choice. I've never heard of anybody who could afford to run their own hot bath water climbing into somebody else's bath. Like, the point is to get clean, right?
I mean, how dirty do we think she is? For God's sake! I mean,
doesn't
she's not
matter.
rolling around in the
Answer
mud.
carefully, Dr.
It doesn't matter. I am.
It's about to
It
get
doesn't
worse.
matter.
No,
The question is not how dirty you think she is. It's how clean do you think fresh water would be? And maybe I'm weird because I take a shower. If I were to ever take a bath, I take a shower before or after because I don't feel clean.
So,
Really?
So Harry Douglas, every time he goes to every hotel, Harry always talks about this. He gets cleaning supplies in that city, and then he goes in and he cleans the bathtub.
That's my wife,
And then he
yeah.
puts Epsom salts in. and he
What?
soaks. But Harry always, like, if you're up in New York and he's doing Get Up or whatever the night before, he'll go to the Walgreens. He'll get cleaning stuff. He'll clean the bathroom in his swanky hotel, and then he pours the Epsom salts, lights the candles, and splurges on himself, but he's got to clean the whole thing first. I don't know.
Okay.
It's like a whole thing.
I didn't like the line "splurges on himself." Okay, that was a bit much, but
Definitely not a dry January there.
Wow. Okay.
We finally reached that point. It only took like 7 people in this chat for us to just
Oh my
completely
God.
lose control.
Okay. It took the pressure off of
Splurging
me
it.
and going and use bath water. Listen, I've been doing it. I love doing it. It's great. She draws a great bath. I get in a hot bath and I feel clean.
I'll let us move on. Can I ask one question? I'll let us move on after this one.
Yeah,
but
sure.
if you had your choice, would you ever want to like go first, or you appreciate part of the bath experience for you is the sloppy seconds nature of it?
The thing I appreciate the most is it's already made and I just step into it.
Okay, got you.
That's my.
And like, was this all a smoke screen for something? Like, is there a point where maybe you two were in the bath, like together, and then like
Well, at times,
dark.
At times you hope for a little crossover. You know what I'm talking about? But
okay.
I don't want to. If I talk about this too much, Mike starts to get sick because he had to deal with it in the Notre Dame locker room with watching Mike and me saying stuff like this. So
yeah,
don't get sick, Mike. How you think you got here?
Years of the porn bed music playing anytime my dad talked about my mom on air are firmly built into my therapy bill.
All right.
Man, you thought that you were not born of a trip to Pound Town? What's wrong with you, man? What happens? That's what happens. That's how you got here, buddy. That's how you got here. That's how you got those rugged good looks.
I'm aware of most of those things, but it's kind of like eating a hot dog where like I don't need to think about all the stuff.
Wow.
I think it's time for me to leave now. I'm really making you uncomfortable. Hey, everyone, so you know, if this cuts off, it's because Mike kicked me out, not because I left.
By the way, this is what you can get when you go see Dominique Foxworth as part of the live podcast recording with the Mina Kimes Show, Bill Barnwell and Kevin Clark, Thursday, 5 p.m. local in Las Vegas at the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club. I don't have the link. We can attach it to this at some point,
amazing.
but that's gonna be fun.
You plugged my podcast. You're plugging my live show. None of this stuff I even told you to do. You just do it because you're a goddamn professional.
Yeah,
I'm just really glad you didn't take plug to the place that I thought you were going to.
You know what? I think I'm leaving now.
Oh, I know what time it is. I know what time it is, Senior. Don't take care of it, Senior.
I hate how horny Dominique just made this.
He really is.
Get it in.
But I'll leave on this note. Hon, we thinking about a bath?
Jesus Christ.
I'm so glad I stayed.
See ya.
Oh, man.
Thanks, Dad. See you in the morning.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, my God. Man. Whew. That was amazing.
That was Dominique, for what it's worth, and maybe this is playing in a college football locker room, I am also very used to the drink your bathwater thing. And I feel like that happens a lot now in the OnlyFans age. Like, I feel like there's a lot of women making a killing slinging bathwater.
Oh, man. I heard about like socks and stuff and like, and like underwear and things being sold, but you can just bottle up water and
I'm curious, but I'm not that curious.
Well, do you guys remember that one woman that had an actual fart attack because she was selling her farts in a jar?
I do remember reading that in the New York Post. But I should have left you out to dry there because that's my bad.
I don't know. I guess I'm just grateful because I assume that people who are into these like obscure fetishes, like it's not up to them. I'm grateful that I'm into normal stuff, or at least y'all don't know about the weird shit that I'm into, because that seems painful, like laborious to find all this weird stuff and keep it away from other people so they don't know you're a weirdo.
Like, or do you just accept it? Like, I don't know. Like, look, I'm taking
Jason,
gigs
you
I'm
tell
not proud
us.
of for money. Like, look, if I could sell feet pics for $500,000 a year, I'm gonna
Big
sell
time.
feet pics. And when people start talking about it, I'd be like, yeah, I sell feet pics for
Half a
$500,000.
million. Half a million, though. You're like 99th percentile. I don't.
Right, your feet.
I know
don't-
offense. I don't know your
No.
feet, but I don't think you're.
My
There's
feet
no
are
shame.
adorable.
This is classic like drug dealer way of looking at things. We don't laugh at the dealer, you laugh at the addict. Like, that's not the person who is paying for this is not the one that is the problem. The person who is slinging it. So like, if somebody will pay you $500,000 for your foot pics, I'm not gonna clown on you for that. If someone would pay $500,000 for pictures of Fitz feet, roasting them.
Like,
Roasting
look,
them.
And you know, Jess, I've amended this for $50K. I'm selling pictures. Like,
Really,
I don't
that's
care.
attainable. We could figure this out.
$50K
Like,
for feet
soon.
pics? Yeah, no, no. Like, if I could just spend my Tuesday taking like modelish pictures of my feet and then put them up all day, every day, yeah, I'm in on this. And like, I'm not gonna hide my face or anything. I'll just be like, yeah, these are my feet. I'm making 50K on feet today. That's my
fallback plan.
I'm a
I already
hustler,
have a
baby.
wiki feet, so
some people are probably into that.
You have a wiki feet?
Oh, I've had it. I don't know who started it, but it's been up for years.
Don't they like grade them? What's your score?
Let me check.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you get like an Uber rating?
Does it change?
I like the fact that this is like rivals
sure.
for feet. Like, oh yeah, we got 5-star feet coming up next.
Let's see, it's like 4.25 stars out
is
of
that
5.
good?
I think it says nice feet. So yeah, I'll take it.
Is that not on your Twitter bio?
It should be.
Watch the game, guys. Watch it.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Throw. After that delay of game, I was starting to get worried Buffalo was going to waste a really good drive. They've been running it down Kansas City's throat.
Yeah.
Man.
I like your little graphic you got at the top right there. Got a little more melanin than I think in real life, but I still like it.
I think that's the California like sun-kissed look that I've developed now. I'll call it that.
Why the snowy backdrop? Because it's in Buffalo? Is that what we're going with? Yeah, okay.
I don't think it's far off.
Shakir is balling, by the way. Last couple of weeks, Shakir is out of control.
We were talking about that before, Dominique, in Gabe Davis terms of like how important a consistent number 2 receiver is for this team. I liken Gabe Davis to like LeBron James getting hot from 3 where you can't count on it, but when it comes, the game is over.
Right. They I feel like the Chiefs are probably looking at them like number 2. Can we get a consistent numero uno? I guess Rashee Rice has become that, but he's still young and not nearly as explosive as I think they would like. But yeah, a number 2 receiver helps quite a bit.
I think it's amazing from a football standpoint on all this. Like, we spent how much of the year just shitting all over the Bills, right? And how much of the year just giving up on the Chiefs. And here we are. The biggest game of the weekend is the Bills and the Chiefs. And we're right back where we started from. Like, as bad as these two teams have been at different times compared to the standard, we're sitting right here because, like, even when these teams don't live up to the standard, they're still better than 90% of the league. Like, I think it's unbelievable that we're sitting here with these two teams playing in this game for the opportunity to go to the AFC Championship game, considering where the conversation was 6 weeks ago on both of them.
Why we spend all our time talking about quarterbacks all the time, because there are a select few that really matter, and we would be doing the same thing if Joe Burrow was healthy with the Bengals, would have been in this round or the round before, and we've been considering them competitors. So that is why people act like fools when there's someone in the draft that they think can be this good.
Well, don't you? I mean, like, you're right, act like fools, but what other choice do you have? Like, San Francisco's the outlier, right? Build a whole great roster and then do whatever you do at the quarterback position. Everybody else, like, if you're in the AFC and you don't have Mahomes, Jackson, Burrow, or Allen,
they didn't just do anything. They traded for Trey Lance. They thought they had their dude, and they just missed. And so now they're arbitraging to get something that they can compete with. But they tried to get their dude, who they thought could be the guy.
The NFC is wide open as far as quarterbacks is concerned, and that's kind of mind-blowing considering how many good quarterbacks there are in the AFC. You would expect there to be a lot more. I mean, because Jared Goff balled today. We got tweets.
He did.
We reading tweets. What we got?
Tom Pelissaro, Matt Patricia is not under contract and plans to explore. Wow, they're letting him go out with a weird amount of dignity in this situation.
That's news.
He must be well liked by Nick Sirianni because they're basically framing this like a mutual breakup.
Yeah.
It's I don't know why.
It's just the moral of the story. If he gets hired, is just like wear a pencil in your ear and people think you're 10 times better than you actually are at what you do. Because
do we think he's just a good wing?
The last 5 years, what do we like? What has he been good at? Do we know?
Nothing I can think of.
Yeah, you can't even use like no one can win in Detroit excuse now.
Yeah.
That one doesn't work.
A bunch of people who talk for a living, a question that none of us could answer. That's pretty impressive.
It is. Was it weird for anyone else seeing him in Eagles gear in general? Like, it just looked uncomfortable.
It's just weird for me seeing him still have a job. Like, how many times can you be really bad at what you do and continue? It's like, you know what? We're just going to, this time will be the time. That's like the one thing that I've always stuck to that I learned from working with you guys, like from the very beginning, was we forget sometimes how bad some coaches are in the NFL and they just continue to get opportunities. So we love to just comment all the time on players that fail. I think, there's plenty of coaches that don't deserve the rope they get.
The thing about coaches, I think, is for some players it's the same way, but for coaches it's really hard to determine which coaches are doing the special thing and which coaches are being supported by other coaches and which coaches are being like rescued by great players. And then it's also such a relationship game. They spend so much time together and you develop relationships with guys. And so many times when a coach gets fired, he ends up on his homeboy staff. And I think that happens quite a bit, especially when you have as successful a tree as Bill Belichick. You got a lot of friends around the league and you're going to get spots.
That's
and
literally
get
what I was
shots
going to
everywhere
say.
you
Like,
go.
we would be shocked if Patricia's in Atlanta in 4 months, 3-4 months. So
Patricia will be in Atlanta with Josh McDaniels running the offense, and they'll all be like, everybody's just going to be back there having another job.
Yeah,
Joe
win
Judge
a Super
running
Bowl,
special
and then he'll get a head coaching job again in 5 years, and you'll be all saying the same thing.
Dominique, I know you've always been like the pro, like looking at the way we hire head coaches and valuing some of like the soft skills and other stuff. What have you made of the rash of linebacker head coaching hires recently? That seems kind of right up that alley.
It definitely does. I mean, I think it's important to understand that there's a bunch of different ways to lead a team. There's a bunch of different ways to be successful in anything that you do. But I think we depend on the offensive guru, because I think that there are certain things that you can delegate, which leading an offense you can delegate, coordinating offense, coordinating defense, coordinating special teams, all things that you can delegate. The one thing that you can't delegate as a head coach is your voice. And so the voice has a tremendous amount of impact on the team and on the culture of the team. And I think that's where you should focus most of your time when you're a head coach, because you can't delegate that. No one else has that title and no one else has that influence. And so oftentimes I think I feel this way a lot because of the time I spend in Baltimore with Harbs. He would come into our defensive meeting rooms and not necessarily completely understand the defense, but he spent a lot of time, I think, developing the culture of the team and perpetuating the culture that the Ravens had there. And I think that's one thing that coaches miss out on. They don't think about that as they do about the game plan and scheming stuff, which are things that you can get someone else to do.
I think people also forget that, like, coach is a CEO. Like, you could be a talented offense coordinator, you were calling plays, or defense coordinator, you're making schemes. When you become the head man, like, you are doing all the little things throughout the week that you just didn't have to worry about the last few years of your career. And so, like, defensive coaches, I'm looking at Saban and his longevity in college. Obviously, college is a different business, a different game, but he just kept replacing offensive coordinators. He felt like, if I have control of the defense and then recruiting and I'm the CEO, that is the chains that I can control and trust in. Oh, Dominique's face.
Sorry, my bad.
Ooh.
I'll do better.
Ooh.
MVS.
Wow.
Oh, man, it's the MVS game, like we all knew was coming.
Dominique, I needed to know you mentioned Harbs, your reaction to that dance video.
Oh my gosh. Was he doing the Napoleon Dynamite? Like, that's what it looked
I don't
like.
know what
Was it intentionally bad? I don't know. Like, he has to know. And I mean, that's all part of it. I think another thing that we don't take into account, which, like, when I've been talking to some coaches recently, I'm reminded of how, like, backstabby the coaching profession can be. And I do think that if you are a coach who is, like, locked in your office alone, scheming up, watching tape, you're the head coach, and all this stuff, getting ready for this game, like, that does leave an avenue for people to go around you to develop relationships with the owner, to go around to develop a relationship with the general manager, and I think that's dangerous. So anyway, this is a whole nother tangent. Instead, we watch this man. Look at his leadership. Lead, Harbs, lead. Lead with your pelvis.
Rock with it.
I love it.
So, Dominique, I went down this rabbit hole. I don't have the info right in front of me, but Michael, remember this. I did this years ago. The year that Peterson was in the Super Bowl with the Eagles, I looked at the year he was hired for his job, and I looked at the ESPN.com rankings for the coaches that year, and Peterson was ranked as the worst hire, and he was the only person in that coaching class that still had his job. So I went through this last week, and I started looking at the last several years. Stefanski was ranked widely as the worst hire when he got the job. Matt Rule was ranked as the best. I'm sorry. So, like, if you look back year after year, the number of times Dan Campbell was ranked as the worst hire of his. And I did all that because, I'm looking at this, and I think the important thing that we just have to start admitting is that hiring a coach is no more accurate than drafting a quarterback. It's a crapshoot. You might know, you might not, and more often than not, you're going to get it wrong. And, like, that's the big exercise I took away from it. I looked at every year for the last 5 years for one of the shows I did last week, and every single year the top ranked hire was fired before the worst hire.
We have to have.
That's like the Tom Fornelli tweet of every time there's a college football head coaching hire, he'll be like, blank is a great choice. I have no idea if it'll work.
Well, because I think a lot of this stuff, and it goes to drafting too, is always based on an organization, how honest they're willing to be with themselves and their own limitations in certain areas, whether that's talent acquisition and development or the way they go about scouting and how those things all fit into the picture. Like, I think that applies a lot to when they pick players. And like, you know, offensive linemen are always the place I look, because there are a lot of people want to draft incredibly toolsy players that they don't have the ability to coach in the way they need, especially with the time limitations at that position post 2011 CBA. And so now it's like, all right, if you're not honest with yourself, you're going to end up with a really talented guy that's never going to develop the way you want in a league that kind of needs higher floor guys there. The same thing can sort of apply if you're looking at a coach as a fix-all when you don't have your house in order in the front office, or you're not in a position to actually bring in talented players.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get ready for my show really soon, because I have
I'm hopping off also.
Oh, you're leaving,
Dominique,
too?
be nice to Charlie tonight. I know you're not going to be, but
Vanilla baby, I'm always nice to.
I'm just kidding. I kind of like when you're mean to him. It makes me laugh.
I mean, someone's got to keep him in check. He's a thoughty icon now.
I like it.
Yeah, we got to bring him back down. It's the best. I know, Jessica. You and I, we're very similar, as people can tell, obviously. All right, so let's leave together because we're awesome. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye. There he goes.
Look at that. Finally got rid of the dead weight around here. Let's go.
Boy, I appreciate this game has been basically like just downhill running and screens for the vast majority of the game, it feels like.
Both teams are moving the ball. It's like there hasn't been a whole lot of, sputtering, and it's just like heavyweights trading body blows,
It's cool to see this game live up to the hype, because like going back and looking at the numbers, Rashee Rice limping off right now is not good after that last screen.
He's been limping since the first quarter of this game too.
Mahomes with a casual 15 for 19 for 202 touchdowns.
Jesus Christ.
Like y'all, like that's why I keep saying this, when going back to going back to the quarterback conversation. The reason I keep saying, like, I don't think there's a single offer that any team can make to get the first, second, or third pick in this year's draft. Because if you're the Bears,
third.
Third. New England's picking third. Like, they got to have a quarterback. They know what life's like without Brady. They're going to take the third best quarterback at 3. I don't think there's anything that trades off at 3, especially if you buy some of the current things where people are saying Drake May might be sitting there at 3. But if you're Gerard Mayo, you ain't taking this job without a
People are on Drake May at 3 already?
Yeah, I have not heard that.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels is up to 2, and some people, we're doing the draft thing that everybody does.
I saw one with Penix in the top 10, and so I'm starting to not believe anything that I see right now.
Yeah, I would.
But I don't think there's any, like, if you're a team, if you're Denver, if you're my beloved Raiders, if you're any of these teams that are picking in the middle of the first round, I think you could go in and offer 3, 4 first-round picks. That's not going to be like, if you're the Bears, you can sell hope with whoever you pick first. If you're Washington, you have to sell hope with whoever you pick second. And if you're New England, you don't have a quarterback. You're taking 1/3.
If you guys had the choice and you were one of the teams outside of the top 2, would you rather take a reach for one of the other non-May or Caleb Williams quarterbacks in this draft, or trade for Fields from the Bears?
It depends on what I have already in place, because Fields is going to need he needs a perfect matchup with an OC who understands and believes in him and like what he can do. Because we saw when you're trying to fit him into a square peg round hole, that's not. I mean, you're gonna run him into the ground. But when you open things up, you give him opportunities and understand his limitations. I talked with Mina about self-awareness. If you're self-aware about what your expectations are for him, who you have with weapons around him, I think it's worth a shot, because he's going into his option year, and so the potential contract you'd be negotiating would have to work into your cap situation. But the whole point is to get a quarterback who's going to elevate you. And so if you believe Fields has that it and he's ascending, because we've seen life, but we also saw 2 years of Nagy and now Eberflus. We just don't know. It feels like he's been suppressed. We don't know the true Justin Fields. I'm definitely taking a shot on him, but it depends on what I have around.
I think it also depends on how much I know him, right? Like, that's why I keep saying, as a Raiders fan that I've never hidden that, like, if Champ Kelly gets that job as the GM, when Champ Kelly was there in Chicago when they drafted him, Champ Kelly has a pretty good understanding of him, has good guys in the building. So if Champ Kelly chooses to go out and acquire Justin Fields, then I would look at that and say, okay, there's a basis for that. And then you're coming in with a very particular offense that you think he can run. If you're just blindly acquiring Justin Fields thinking, as we all know some coaches do, that you could just be the smartest coach in the room and fix whatever's wrong, then I think that's a stupid move for you and for the player. You know what I mean? So, like, I think that's one of the hardest things about the NFL is that you can't, it's not like the draft process where you could sit down and really get a sense of the kid or try to get a sense of the kid. Like, you're running so blind in these circles. I wouldn't run blind into Justin Fields, but I also think that in a world where there's, just bad quarterback play across the league, he's going to start somewhere next year. Like Jake Browning is going to be a starter somewhere just because we're desperate at this point to see enough starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
What do you think is the chance of a hypothetical of drafting Caleb and letting him sit? I don't know who said it. Someone said it last week where you draft Caleb, you give Eberflus and Fields 1 year to prove they're both like worth it. And then you either move on for Eberflus, give Caleb a new coach, a new situation, or Eberflus earns, his stay right now, and then you try to get compensation for Justin Fields.
So I like that from the Eberflus standpoint because the timeline right now that's available to the Bears is concerning, and it's one we've seen a lot over the course of quarterback history in the NFL where a rookie quarterback gets drafted to a team with a coach going into a lame duck year that could get fired, and now all of a sudden you get, the cycle that starts after that usually gives them a really low probability of success. The only thing that worries me in that is if it goes poorly, you've now lost a lot of the value that I think Justin Fields has right now as an asset. Coming off the end of the season,
how much value do you think he has? That's my question. Like, realistically,
more than he does if you go out next year and all of a sudden he craps the bed and he's, next year's the option year, so you lose that bit of control. If you're selling him to a team now, you're saying it was the best production we've seen from him by far as a Bear in the back half of the season, and you've got a year of control to make the decision still on rookie deal numbers. So that to me is like all baked into. I don't know what the overall, I'm always bad at like trade value stuff, so I won't even attempt to try and like butcher a number or a pick value, but I would just say it's more than what he gets if all of a sudden you let the time, like a longer timeline or longer sample next year expose that.
Yeah.
Because it's another new OC for him regardless next year. If you bring him back under center, it's his third OC in 5 years.
And the couple of insiders I've at least asked, me, Mike, I'm like an aggregator of information. I keep hearing like mid-third rounder for him would be best case scenario. And I don't know if that's true. That's just what I hear, So if we're talking mid-third rounder, like there's a lot of value to that to a Bears team, I think. So, that I think that's a fair point. What I like about sitting Caleb would be in this situation, in this Bears situation, you're not ruining him with 1 year of just BS, right? Like, because my concern for Caleb is they're going to draft him to the point you made at the beginning, Mike. They're going to draft him. Eberflus gets 1 more year, then everybody figures out he sucks, and all of a sudden Caleb Williams' second year, he's already learning a new system, right? So sitting him for a year to let Eberflus prove himself, I don't hate that.
No, it would definitely be fair timeline wise.
It only came up because we've known, but people are kind of slowly coming around to listen. If the Packers have done what they've done for now 30 years running, something about patience and proper selection and just having, bearing the brunt of, fans being a little ticked off or being antsy can lead to sustained success. And so if you're another organization, like, are you going to take the chance to now like try to just do things differently, be a little patient, not rush straight into things, especially for a guy like Caleb that we think is far and above the last 3 or 4 classes of quarterback. Like, this is the guy that people have been waiting on. So it just came up because we're looking at Jordan Love and his ascendancy. We're like, look, there's something to be said about sitting.
I mean, would you argue that this game is proof of that patience concept too? Like, the Bills listened to nothing about Josh. They listened to nothing. Everybody yelled about Josh. They gave Josh Allen a lot more time than most bad organizations would give. And then Mahomes sits for a year under Alex Smith, and he said in several interviews that Alex is a big part of like just teaching him what to eat when and how to break down film and what to do as a pro. Like, he had somebody show him the ropes, and he had what may turn out to be one of the greatest coaches of all time. Help him along the way.
Oh no.
Not DeMar Hamlin too? No.
Oh no. Yup,
Dang.
it is. Oh,
Do we like that decision?
No. Oh my God.
Oh my God. No, you have Josh Allen playing quarterback. If you're going to go for it, have the Clydesdale involved.
Sean McDermott.
Yeah. He is not beating the allegations right now.
Oh man.
I cannot hear what Jay Feely is saying, but I will say this because I don't know if you heard the beginning of the broadcast because you guys may have already been streaming.
Yeah.
Feely did point out that the wind was so bad, whoever was going one direction in the fourth quarter was going to be up against it. I don't know. I can't hear. I don't have the caption on, so I don't know if I don't even know if they're facing that direction.
But if that's the case, then run a play with Josh Allen. Like if we're talking about it, like
fair point. Yeah.
That's always my thing. Like, if you've really got the element of surprise and a quarterback you don't trust, sure. But when you've got that dude having this day right now, oh, man. Kansas City's putting the nail in the coffin right here. Yikes. Wow. That is, I mean, you want to talk about, like, so
swing.
When everybody had the conversation, when the Go Long article on Josh McDermott came out and everyone latched on to the 9/11 training camp speech and had their jokes with that, the bigger takeaway from that was them talking about how tight Sean gets during big game weeks. And that is a part of the conversation and getting to another one of those big, because I get Buffalo as a franchise has had so much heartbreak. This wouldn't be the worst thing that's ever happened to the Bills. But in terms of this specific core of this team, like what a mental blow this would be to finally think it's your year and then to have Kansas City waltz in on your field and now get this done.
They're going to have to review this.
Is he down?
They're going to have to review this. He may have fumbled out of the end zone. Ref is saying he's down at the 1.
Did Hardman, is that McCole Hardman fumbling again?
Let's get this.
Yep. Hardman. He is.
Oh, it's out. Oh, no, it's a touchback.
That is. No. Oh, that's so out. Oh, man. What?
So let me ask you.
What a break for the Bills.
Wow.
While this is being reviewed, because I love talking to former players, right? When the fake punt's called in this situation and it doesn't go right, what does that do from a player standpoint? Like, what's that do to the sideline? What's that do to the guys that are standing there? Like, what's the reaction from the guys that have to go out on the field now?
Like, there are times when fakes are like justified, where it's truly a surprise and we get it. Like, you might not agree with the risk assessment, but we get it. I don't know if anyone, you're back in your own territory. I get like the wind and all that, but like we've got Josh Allen on the bench. So if I see that or I hear that call in the headset or it's coming, I'm like, man, like just give us a chance. Like, let's not be kind of similar to the end of that Detroit-Dallas game where it's like, let's not be so cute, but we kind of get in our own way. Like, at least give us a fair shot to just pick up like face-to-face, not surprise them. Let's just pick up the yards if we need it. So I've had fakes. I was part of a fake in Green Bay against Chicago that we had studied all week. We're like, it's going to be there, and it worked beautifully. It was like a little shovel pass to the wing who came, and it worked beautifully. And we were all on board, and we got the reasons why. Our offense was slow that day, and we got it. But like running that kind of out of the blue, feeling a little desperate, like it kind of pisses you off.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing too, is it depends on kind of your station as a team. Like if you know going in, we got to throw the whole trick bag at them because we're at a talent deficit and we've got to try and leave it all out there. And so we're just trying to create chaos because that's the only way we're going to win. Sure. But if you're Buffalo in this game, you feel like you are either the equally talented or more talented team overall in your viewpoint. And so there is something to like, let us just go be us, and that should be good enough without doing something like this. Plus, I think that was off a 3 and out. So if you're Buffalo's defense, you're over on the sideline just getting your breath, and now you've got to go back out against this Mahomes crew that's been lathered up the whole second half.
Yeah, I always think that's interesting because, momentum is such a real thing for everybody involved in all this. It's just how all of that plays, especially because I've been saying this all week with this game particularly, but if you're Buffalo, there is a little bit of like, if not now, then when, right? Like if we really, everybody keeps saying this is Brady versus Manning all over again, right? But in order for it to become that, at some point, the Bills and Josh Allen got to get the big, like it's not Josh Allen's fault that they haven't gotten the win, but you got to get some of these. You got to land some of these in a way that's like, all right, now the score is starting to get even. If you can't beat this Chiefs team in Buffalo when this Chiefs team's a shell of yourself like that themselves. That's just, I don't know. It feels like that's psyche damaging to the whole process.
And Buffalo defensively has been on like a physical decline, like where we've watched the spine of their defense kind of break down for the last couple of years. So you'd imagine they're due for kind of that same Chiefs and Bengals overhaul at certain spots where they've got to get younger. They've got to hit on a couple of draft picks around the quarterback now. Where, by the way, since I don't know if I've had this conversation with either of you, Marshall, where are you at on the fumble out of the end zone touchback rule? I know that's always like sports talk candy.
I hate being penalized so severely for just what is the football play.
Sure.
I get like letter of the law, like it's a touchback. Like people are like, well, then don't reach the ball out. And specifically in New England, Bill Belichick was adamant in meetings to every ball carrier, do not reach the ball out at the 1. We'll run it the next play. We'll score the next play. Don't turn the ball over. So I think it's on teams to emphasize it, but I hate that it's such a drastic penalty for being, earning the yardage up to that point and then just trying to make a football play. So, and then I was in Oakland with Derek Carr. We were playing Dallas, and he reached it out, and I'm like, that's just it's not an equal punishment for what is just a football play. I don't know.
Yeah, it happened to Carr a couple of times, and I think to that point, what I've never understood is just make it down where the runner lost possession of the football. Like,
Sure.
Just stop the play. In that case, stop the play at the 1. Like, he fumbled, it went out of bounds, fine. Just stop the play at the 1. That makes so much sense. I don't understand the common sense behind the application of a touchback rule right there.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would say for it, and I generally think it's too punitive. I've always said it'd be funny to try and find a middle ground where it's like when with certain lawn games, when you play to a number and the score, like whether it's, like cornhole or Beersby or something like that, and you're playing to a number, if you go over, a lot of times you have to go back down to a set number.
Okay.
Like you go back to, if you hit 22, you end up going back down to 15 or 16. If you fumble out of the end zone, instead of turning the ball over, you go back to the 20. Like let the offense retain the ball, because I do get the idea that we treat the end zone so differently for the offense going in, where all you got to do is break the plane. You break the plane and then you fumble, then it's still your touchdown. You still get it there. Whereas if you're diving for a first down and the ball gets hit and you fumble it, the other team can get it there. And for the offense, when you get by the end zone, that plane all of a sudden creates a different set of rules to your advantage. I can understand the idea of that to an extent, just because we make it such a different thing for the offense as a goal.
I like that. I see that, and no one will ever agree to it, but like, I just want the things to be a little bit even as far as, like you did make a mistake. You did fumble, but the punishment in that area, like it changes games completely. Like this swing right here, I mean, this was the difference between, I think, Kansas City maybe running away. We're feeling that way. And now it's like we're right back in, not Buffalo no longer has to like live with the mistake that they made with it's heavy. By the way,
the Buffalo, and I know Mina brought this up before, you think about what Kadarius Toney went through with a lot of the high-profile mistakes during this season, and now McCole Hardman, the first one they recovered, but he's put the ball on the mat twice on the same, and I always shout out to like Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes. Like they're always good teammates in the sense that they're never going to leave you out to dry there. They're going to go back to you. They believe that everyone's got to feel valued and a part of this. And eventually they're going to need them to win in a big moment. But you go right back to the same play, and now Hardman puts it on the map again. Like that dude's in a real tough headspace for the rest of the day.
But this comes back to what I said earlier. The crazy thing about the Chiefs is that they've been let down by so many different people over the course of the year. And they're ahead in this game. Like it is wild to think. And look, their defense, and I don't think it's just this year. Over the last couple of years, the ascension of their defense has been a delight, right? Like it's absolutely a big part of why they're winning. Pacheco playing as well as he is, Rashee Rice. Like there's been development we've seen this year, but like, my God, the fact that the story has been mistakes by key players for the Chiefs all year long, and they're still sitting in this situation, mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I agree. Mike, I just sent you the best thing on Twitter. You can put it on the cast.
Oh, please.
I don't know if you follow the account Art but Make It Sports.
Oh yeah, no, I saw the one of Jason.
Oh yeah,
how fast they are in that account of just the recall being able. I don't know if they've got like an AI they can feed the picture.
It feels like that. I'm like, what?
It's got to be something like that because it is just absolutely gorgeous.
Looks like Shakir just was going back to the locker room, by the way.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, there it is. Oh, Shakir going into the locker room is very huge. Because I was going to say quietly. I mean, not quietly. It's been a very quiet Diggs game.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the shot. Wow.
Oh, my God.
Oh, hit the ground.
Oh, my God.
They're
saying incomplete.
Oh.
I mean, that ref had a really good look at it, too. So I'll be curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lost. He
How
lost
do you
the
not
bottom
catch
clasp.
that?
I love how we're sitting here right now. Fitz was talking about being smacked going to play the violin before. We're like, how did this high-level athlete not manage to catch this ball?
It's a fair question, though. Come on, look, like it's right there for him. It's right there for him, Mike.
I am always amazed at receivers' ability to contort themselves at the last minute on catches because I always think about like having your body land on you while you're trying to do that. What a missed opportunity by Buffalo there coming off that one. Good Lord.
I didn't like anything about that drive, particularly. Like the first run put him in negative down and distance. He got behind.
Ooh, buddy. Also, my mom just sent me a picture of
low
my
enough
dad
for you to punt there. I don't understand. If the wind was so bad before, if it's like it's bad enough where we got to fake it with 4th and 5 in our own territory, then it's bad enough here. I don't like that's an egregious decision before. But anyways.
Yeah.
I was going to say, watching Odell Beckham for 2 years, like just in practice and not one-handed stuff, but just like body contortion, control in the air stuff. It
really
makes no sense. Like it's kind of defying, not gravity, but like when you're in the air, you don't have much to use to turn your body, but just defying the physics of that. It was insane to watch.
I think it's probably pretty fair too that like seeing that sort of stuff over and over and over again normalizes the expectation for what we think most wide receivers could do. And that's also not fair. Right. Like, so.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Rice is back in there for Kansas City too. So that's a win for them.
It's interesting to me, the number of guys that have gotten up hobbled here only because the same thing happened last week in Buffalo, and I attributed it at the time to how cold it was and how hard the ground was, but must be having the same thing because guys just feel like they drop like flies at the stadium.
I mean, it's also January, and like if you're, I don't know, I mean, Marsha, you should be able to speak to this. Like, I'd imagine in January in the NFL, everyone's bodies just feel like death, and it's cold outside now. So
yeah, you're hanging on by a thread, and then the hits at this, it's hard. You can't describe it to anyone because people have been cold before, but they haven't been hit in the cold before, or they've maybe boxed or done something physical, but they haven't done it in this weather. It's just compounded, and you're having just inner monologues. So you're like, oh my, like every play. Oh, and I this is for an adult audience, but I'd characterize it as you've got to say, what's the average number of offensive plays for me? It was like 60 to 70. Going in, I'm like, I'm gonna have to say F it 60 something times. Of just like, I'm just throwing my body into this person or that person, and I'd rather be aggressive than passive, and we'll see what happens after the game because the cold is just.
Yep.
Dude, I heat my car for 2 cycles before I get into it just to drive to the gym. Like, what the hell do I know about me? Like, I'm like, I'll warm up cycle stop the first time. It ain't gonna be toasty enough. I'll run it one more time and then I'll head. I can't even imagine.
I was gonna tell the story earlier. I think it was 2011 or 2012 in Green Bay. We had either Oakland or Tampa up late in the season. Both were out of playoff contention. I think Albert Hainsworth was on the team. Was he ever in Oakland?
No.
Or there was a big D tackle who was like at the end of his career. It was
Seymour?
Big John, or it might have been Hainsworth in Tampa. And
Hainsworth finished up in Tampa. He wasn't in Oakland.
The first play, I'm backside and I throw and I cut him down his back, and we get up and he does the old brother-in-law. It's like, man, listen, we're not in play. Like, just calm down, just chill. I was like, all right. So I got a free pass from Albert Hainsworth for the entire game because I cut him on the first play.
There you go.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's always fun if you pay attention in warm-ups before like a week 18 game or a week 17 game with teams out of contention. And if you see guys from other teams talking amongst like different position groups, like to see where depth gets distributed, it's like, all right, who's going in right now already kind of like greasing the treads on this a little bit, like, hey man, let's just both get to the off season today. All right.
Big pass interference there for the Bills keeps that.
Oh,
drive
wow.
alive.
It was ticky tack. It was very ticky tack.
That was who'd they call that on? Dorian, the linebacker. They get him chipping him going across. Wow.
That was only. I mean, it was huge because that was third down, right? Like, so they had their chance to get the ball back.
How did the Chiefs have to burn a timeout there after all that?
Just say Nagy and move on.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
Speaking of the Chiefs, people have brought it up recently, but how much can we attribute just some of their offensive woes to just Bieniemy's absence? Like, did we underestimate his importance in that offense?
So I do think there's something to that. And we all remember before the season when there were those reports coming out of Washington of players going and complaining to Rivera, and Rivera kind of let that out publicly about how hard Bieniemy was riding them in practice. And he was like, he's someone that's kind of touted as like the disciplinarian, like he's not going to let stuff go. And you look at a lot of mistakes, most notably, we think of the receiver up on the line, like all of those are the kind of attention to detail things that it does seem like, yeah, you could probably give him some credit for.
Yeah. Maybe this is one of those times too, where like Bieniemy and Andy Reid create a nice little like peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? Like maybe they need each other's sort of disposition at times. Cause like, look, even the way Washington was talking about the play calling last week was still like pretty surprising to me. So, you know, Bieniemy might not have been a good fit there and might not have clicked with all the players, but I don't know if it's the two of them together. It just seemed like it worked for years in Kansas City. Whatever the opinions are on Bieniemy, it never really leaked out of Kansas City. And it felt like the day he got to Washington, people were complaining about it. So,
well, I think it's also probably like, and I mean, Marsha, you can speak, you know, being in a lot of buildings, you mentioned being in New England, like a place where players are used to that. And you've got a veteran laden roster that kind of understands, all right, this is what it takes for us to be successful versus a group in Washington that was probably getting a taste of that for the first time.
For sure. I mean, they said it back when I was a Cowboys fan growing up, when Wade Phillips was hired, and they said he was a cupcake. He was too nice to guys, but the prevailing theme is you can always start being harder and like soften up. You can't do the opposite.
Yeah.
So if you're a team that's not used to as much discipline, as much just hard-headed, hard discipline stuff, and then to try to impact that's going to be a hard thing to convince guys to do.
Man,
Buffalo, by the way, we talked earlier about the Ravens swarming defense. Buffalo did a really nice job there. The number of times we've seen Mahomes turn what just happened on that play into a huge gain, that was really solid defense by Buffalo.
Especially for how banged up their linebackers and secondary are.
Yeah.
I was wondering coming into this night, and it looked like that was a 4-man rush, and then they used one of the linebackers as a spy on Pat maybe, but and Leonard Floyd was the one that got the initial pressure on Jawan Taylor on the right side. But that was the biggest thing I had a concern about coming into this game was Kansas City just got such a free pass last week because Miami was so beat up at edge rusher. They didn't have guys that were going to be able to change. And, you get Donovan Smith back at the right time too. Like, all of those things kind of came together, but Buffalo came into the party with a lot more depth and just high end talent on the edge than what Miami was. And I don't know, we'd seen Mahomes get pressured all year, so it's starting to show up finally a little bit towards the end of this game.
Yeah.
The hard part about it is like, and look, we've all watched this happen a million times. I don't know the fix to it, but even when you get to Mahomes, he's slippery enough that he sneaks out of it, and then all of a sudden you thought you had a sack for a 12-yard loss, and instead he's heaving the ball 35 yards down the field to somebody, and it's working. Like that's the crazy part about it. So I'm a little surprised that the linebackers, the back end of the defense in general has been able to hold up as well. Like Mike, you mentioned earlier, they were running the ball pretty well against the Bills. I'm surprised that we didn't see more of that in that last drive too.
Yeah, it's both right as I think Marshall brought it up and said it was just a heavyweight boxing match during the third quarter of that game. Both teams have kind of stalled out now. It's a lot of lemon booty starting to present itself here.
Kansas City's been running the ball really well. It feels like they've kind of like, I don't know if they see something, but Pacheco, I know, is just he's gnawing on his leash, on the sideline. Like, please.
They're just waiting for like the one takeover drive they need to finish the game to just get him pissed off and up over there to tear through everyone.
I'm looking at the numbers right now. This is pretty alarming. Like, when you actually see Pacheco's averaging 6.6 yards a carry, 13 carries for 86 yards.
Yeah.
As a team, they have 19 carries for 138. They're averaging over 7 yards a rush.
Man,
I mean, that's pretty. And then, like, Pacheco's got a 29-yarder. CEH has a 28-yarder. Mahomes, of course, has, But I think it kind of speaks to the fact that that's working.
Yeah. I wonder if they feel like they've got to like knock Buffalo out, and so they're like looking for those opportunities.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Josh Allen, by the way, like sneaky 20 of 28 throwing, and then 10 rushes for 62 yards also. So like,
man,
I would argue it hasn't been sneaky. I don't think Josh,
sneaky to
put
me.
it on the poll, is Josh Allen capable of being sneaky when he's basically a quarterback moose?
Yeah, that is. I just like,
I can't imagine the kind of damage Josh Allen would do if you hit him with your car.
Back in the day, in some states, you get to make a decision. You could either get your car fixed or you could keep whatever you hit. Like, because sometimes there was a lot of value.
Really?
Like, yeah, like,
oh, wow!
Oh,
what a freaking piss missile that thing was! Jesus Christ.
That was a combine last throw of the session. Yep. Right there.
It's like, I don't know if he's going to catch
what
this,
I can
but I'm
do.
gonna hit the parking lot.
That was a look what I can do. And just
I don't know. Like, I'm used to Diggs coming up with that ball too. Like,
I mean, he should have. It was right there, man.
Yeah, Diggs, by the way, in this game, 3 catches for 21 yards on 5 targets, now 6.
And this is where not having a reliable two, like Shakir's been good in spurts, but not having Gabe Davis out there and a guy that you just know. I mean, yeah, tight end wise too. They just threw to him. I thought those guys would be more featured in this offense, and they just haven't been.
Is Knox even playing tonight? He doesn't have a catch or a target.
I saw him earlier, he just hasn't been targeted.
Yeah, Kincaid 3 for 31 before that catch. So it's outside of the run game, it's been pretty tough to come by like anything down the field. I'll be curious to see like the attempts over 20 plus. I feel like anecdotally Buffalo's 0 for right now, maybe with like 1 mixed in there, but
I think I like Marshall's analogy of a heavyweight fight because I feel like we are at the like late rounds now where both guys are just standing there and they're like, I'll be a little careful about when I exert anything here.
Yep.
A lot of clinches, breathing.
Yeah.
Oh, but Dawson Knox got injured earlier in the game.
He just got a catch and got hurt again. So.
Oh, there he is.
Jeez.
Man, I don't know if that was the low tackle or him hitting. He looked like he hit his head pretty hard on the ground.
Yeah, it might be head.
Yeah. Was that oh no, it was a knee that got Jonah Jackson before for Detroit in the early game.
I missed the clip of him getting hurt, but what was it?
I didn't really see because like with Ragnow, he got rolled up on and that was why he was out for a little bit, but I didn't see like a defining thing for Jonah. I know that he had been injured during the season some, but they just said it was that like they showed the outside of his knee getting worked on and then he never went back in, which that'd be a huge loss for them. Because
I wanted to comment on that. The clip they showed of him working Vita Vea on that goal line touchdown, man. That was like O-line porn, man. It looks messy, and people who don't know, like that's a win. And like doing it against that dude on the goal line is crazy impressive.
I asked Kyle Rudolph, buddy of mine who played most of his career in Minnesota, but then finished up with the Giants and the Buccaneers about, playing with Dexter Lawrence and Vita Vea as far as like how freaky those guys are, and said, Dex is so big and hard to move, but he said athletically the things that Vita can do just so effortlessly are like one of one type stuff.
Well, if you've been around like, enough Polynesians, in college and guys who play football, you've seen a guy who's like at one point played running back, but also weighed 300 pounds. And you're like, it doesn't look too out of place.
Yep.
Vega, I think, played fullback at one point in his career early. Like those guys are just like a different kind of freak.
I was thinking about that during the Lions game specifically. There was one replay they showed of Penei Sewell coming across, like he was doing a pull all the way across the line, and he sprints over and he just knocks the what out of somebody. It freed up. I think it was a touchdown run for Gibbs. But the whole time I was thinking, like, how many people watching the game, yelling at the game, fan wise, like me, right? If they were asked to line up and just keep pace with Sewell, could even do that. Like he just sprinted across and it's just reminds like this guy's like two of me. And is sprinting across at a speed I'll never know. Like it's alarming to me how much big men can do.
My draft class in the combine, I was the second fastest, just sub 5. The fastest was Trent, who ran like a 4.85, and then Bruce Campbell ran like a 4.81 or something. And then
you were Bruce's class?
I'm pretty sure, from Maryland.
Bruce's Connecticut's very own. We played him in the state playoffs my freshman year, and they whooped our ass.
He's from Connecticut?
He went to a school called Hyde Leadership Academy. Like Connecticut, you don't get a ton of teams chock full of D1 dudes, but they had like 7 on their team. He
looked like Xerxes. It was ridiculous.
He's one of the scariest athletes I've ever seen in person. Dude was a mutant.
But like last year's draft, like and one guy after another was running 4.8s, 4.9s consistently, like 300 plus pounders, and people just like have lost sight of how much faster guys were than they already were, and how big a lot of that mass is moving.
Yeah, like to be that size and move that quickly is just
got to be your mass because it ain't your face.
A lot of meat on that spatula, moving fast.
That was the guy I've seen in person who was like naturally the like fastest, because like you obviously see it on the combine, but just seeing it in person was Teron Armstead.
Oh yeah.
His hamstrings are so tight he can barely reach over and touch his toes, but he would be 40 yards ahead of every offensive lineman just like in a jog when we do.
Fall on the ball.
Oh,
no name Connor right there.
Damn it. That just makes me think of Mr. Go 30. He's gonna have him as Johnson this week. Damn it, Connors.
Davis. Oh, it's 4th down anyway, but dang.
Yeah. It looked like Josh.
Do you go for it? It's 4th down midfield. Do you go for it?
How much time is left? I mean, it's
5:07. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're basically across midfield too.
Keep the ball in Josh's hands. Give him options.
Yep.
See what kind of pressure they bring.
Man. Looks like they're bringing the entire world.
Two spies. And they rush 3, 2 spies, and they just throw a little flat route, a little bubble.
Yep. They saw they had that runner caught there and faked him out and brought him back the other way. Got caught in the wash, it looked like. I wonder if they had the bunch of routes coming left to right with Kincaid.
Oh,
I don't know. Like this felt like one of those pickup basketball moments where like you got one guy on your team that the entire rest of the team is taken down. Like you got one guy, all 5 are on one, and he's like, all right, I'll let you score this one. It just felt like everybody was just like, Josh, you will not get this.
Yeah. That was that reminded me a lot of like the plays the Chiefs scored on in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, those motion man beaters. Yeah.
Yep. Damn. Big. I mean, for the fake punt gamble really biting him in the ass before, that was a pretty good 4th down call.
Yeah.
This gets really interesting though, because they're going to let this clock go and go and go, and we are going to get into this situation where, Mahomes is going to get the ball back with $1:30 left, and 12 seconds is all he needs.
Right.
Just like Mike.
I mean, Jesus. Really thought we had left that in the 3rd quarter once Dad and Dominique dropped off, but
oh no, I had to get one in there.
Pretty
Come on,
sick,
man.
Chubbs.
I had to get one in there now.
Damn. So, I mean, ideal game script selfishly for like the football world is Buffalo tries to churn clock here. They get like one more 3rd down or one more 1st down. They get held. They have to kick the field goal. we get a Mahomes end of game attempt, and then this goes to overtime, and we get to test the rule that they ended up getting changed back in the 2021 game.
That's what
the only thing I want to add to that. Then this is what I want. I want both teams to touch the ball, right? Both teams to get field goals, and then the next possession ends the whole game, and everybody's mad that they realized all we did was delay the inevitable with the rule change.
Oh man, they're rolling right now.
Also, though, I don't think we can take for granted how bad the wind is, just based on what Jay Feely was saying at the beginning. Let me see if I can turn on closed captioning here. Because Feely was saying that depending on which end you were going into, it would be almost impossible to make any reasonable kick in the fourth quarter.
All right.
They've tried the same, I don't know. Just they keep doing that with Dalvin, and it keeps not working.
Yeah. All right, so this is going to go down to the 2-minute warning here. Right as you mentioned that with Jay, one of my buddies in a group chat goes, "So what's Jay Feely earning for his contribution to this game tonight?"
What's the kicker on the telecast earn? Yeah, I need to know.
Sometimes, though, it's pretty good. Like, when I listen to him, sometimes I'm like he's down there and he's like, "Oh, I heard this about this kicker, or saw them doing this before." Like, I gotta like it. I dig it.
The fiddle player putting on for the kicking analyst is about the most on-brand thing I can think of.
Look, I like to live in a world where we can have specialists for each group really educate us, right? Like, give me a fat guy on the sidelines that's just sitting there talking to the fat guys, right? Like, I just – that's what I want to see. I want to see kickers.
There will never be another Tony Siragusa.
Yeah. Oh, man, rest in power.
Yeah.
The iconic shot of Goose leaned up against the goalpost in the back of the end zone, staring down the sky cam shot of him that they would use in the opens is so seared in. This is my favorite Super Bowl story ever, because Goose obviously was carrying a lot of weight. My dad used to carry a lot of weight. And so at the Super Bowl in Indy, I was still in college, but we went down because it was close. A couple of my buddies were out there for, earning opportunities once they left. And so we were going to hang with everybody. And one day I was walking around, Dad was there doing Mike and Mike, and I'm like 10 steps behind him on the sidewalk. And my dad had started losing weight at this point, but wasn't like skinny like he is now. And I hear some guy come running past me going towards my dad yelling, "Goose, Goose." I was like, oh man, that's a tough scene there, Dad. That's a tough scene.
And now we know why your dad got so skinny. Your dad's like, hell no.
That was the turning point.
That was his Joker origin story.
That's amazing. Just saw a commercial for Taco Bell. It makes me very hungry. Speaking of the food, like Taco Bell, like 2-bean burritos, no onions, cheese quesadilla, chicken soft taco, an order of nachos with the side of sour cream and guac. Like, that's my go-to. I really want this.
That rolled off your tongue entirely too smoothly.
This man has been getting high for decades.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Like, it's like I pull in and they're like, "We're doing this again." Like, that's what happens, But
son of a the best commercial I saw during this entire game today. I didn't know that they're doing Deal or No Deal Island now.
I saw
where
that,
it's
yes.
like a combination. I would love a whole new generation of combination game show reality shows.
Just crossover.
Yeah, it's like Naked and Price is Right. Like, it's just a bunch of naked people on an island playing Plinko who haven't showered in a month and have been eating grubs.
Survivor Hollywood Squares.
Was Dwayne Wayne's one like The Cube? It's like Love Island, The Cube.
Oh my God.
Give me something with Double Dare. I want to bring back Double Dare with some sort of a conventional,
Oh, the Nickelodeon? Yeah. That was a time in history.
Bro, do you know they were doing a reboot of Legends of the Hidden Temple on the CW and just nobody knew about it?
What?
I heard it was coming out, but then I never saw it, so I didn't think it ever made it.
When the CW
Diggs was
wow.
shocked. Diggs was
the left tackle got backed into him. He couldn't finish that throw.
Oh man.
He got hit right as it was coming out.
That was
I just was surprised. Look at this replay. Like, Diggs is just hanging out.
Chris Jones on Deion Dawkins.
Wow. Jesus.
Just enough.
That's a whole lot of man. So now, all right, 3rd and 9 here.
Clock stopped too, so Kansas City really.
Yeah, that's huge.
False. Ooh,
Yeah,
I was
that
going
was
to
a
say, I
false
thought
start,
that was a
wasn't it?
jump right there. And a hold.
Wow.
Wow, they just got away with everything right there. And now they got a kick.
And we have no idea how this kick is going to go.
Whoo, buddy.
Bring back Jay Feely. Where you at, Jay?
Yeah. Come earn that paycheck, Jay.
I love the idea of
little mouth say it.
I love the idea of Jay Feely coming out with tearaway pants and just like I'm in.
I mean, they let Gene Steratore in the booth before, so.
Oh man, get that guy out of my face forever.
Not up in here. Oh my God!
No, exactly.
No,
exactly why the win was a problem. Oh,
Jay Feely is now like, I need a raise, boys. I need a raise.
That was a snap slice off the Blues, man.
That's my actual drive.
Oh, into the trees.
Oh my God. Oh
God, I mean, haven't they heard wide right enough in Buffalo?
Too soon, Mike.
Dear God.
But you should tweet that. Like that's a hell of a tweet. I mean,
oh man, I feel sick for them right now. And Jason, Marshall, you might be familiar with her from Levitard show too, but Christine Lacey right now, I am so devastated.
You and I haven't talked about this. I listened to Mike and Mike in the morning like most of my young adulthood, and her updates were part of like the sound in my head of her ESPN score updates. I know her voice better than most people realize.
That's incredible. Isn't it amazing the stuff that sticks with you, especially in audio format like that?
Yep.
She's also a legend of a human being. Like she's just one of the nicest people I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she bleeds Buffalo, man. That's tough.
Dude, there were some weekends when I'd be working shows in there and she'd be doing updates or like primetime games when the Bills would be on, and watching her over in like the small glass room where the update anchors sit, trying to process, because she's again like the kindest woman ever, but becomes such a different version of herself, like all of us during a sporting event. And oh man,
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm completely measured.
I excited to see the Vegas Stadium for the first time. When I was playing, they had announced the move to Vegas, but I haven't done anything with the Raiders alumni, and I haven't even seen any of the facilities, any of the stadiums.
Dude, it's beautiful, man. It really is.
All game.
Wow. There it goes. Jesus. Oh my God.
I mean, so I'm torn on this because I picked Kansas City, so I'm happy that I got the pick right, but I'm heartbroken for Buffalo. Like, because let's just be honest, the best story was going to be Bills Lions in the Super Bowl. Like, that's the story America wanted.
Right.
Oh man, look at them dodging snowballs right now.
Also, I wanted to bring it up earlier that conspiracy theory about the colors in the Super Bowl logo is still intact.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it'll eventually, it's assuming NFC is red and AFC is purple. It's still intact. That'd be 3 years in a row.
I grew up in Vegas as a kid, and I'll be out there covering the Super Bowl for Yahoo. I'm going to spend an inordinate amount of money on Super Bowl stuff that has the Vegas skyline on it. As a kid that grew up there, like, yeah, that one's going to be
for sure.
I'm going to spend. The NFL is going to get my money.
I told Jason I'm expecting him to be the plug when it comes to Super Bowl week and get me into places out there.
Oh yeah, that's the move.
Look, I don't. You got much more famous friends than me. Like, come on, like they know. Like, Dominique.
Yeah, but you've been out there sniffing around, working, and doing this thing out in Vegas forever now. You're out there all the time doing stuff. You know everybody.
I've been trying. Yeah. I don't know that. Like, I think the sneaky hard part about Vegas as a Super Bowl city is that when they've got the Taylor Swifts of the world, The me's of the world aren't even going to rank. Like, a lot of famous people going to be at that Super Bowl, even more than usual.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
When I was at the Niners game the other night, I walked past on the way up to where we were sitting. I walked past Olivia Culpo, and I was just like, man, I forgot just seeing people of that caliber of beauty in person is staggering. I didn't know I didn't need to be anywhere near that. I was like, this is
another version of Two Americas.
Yes. Yeah.
That is amazing.
That is absolutely a very
all right,
different
boys. Man, that was a good game.
That was a good game. Marshall, appreciate you sticking around for so long, man. That was awesome.
I kept looking for an exit. I'm like, I got nothing else to do. So yeah, no problem. No problem.
No, appreciate it, man. It helped a lot. Marshall, anything we can plug for you, man? I know you're grinding away in school right now. You got anything coming up in Super Bowl week you need us to plug?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be there. I don't have anything official, but I'm on Twitter at Newhouse73. Catch me on Mina Kimes podcast. I just posted a link. I'll probably post it on Twitter of a little NFL film short that I did about pickleball. I don't know if you've seen that one yet.
I did see that. That was
Pretty
awesome.
Cool. So yeah, I'm working my way up. So eventually I'll have more stuff to plug, but not yet.
No, that's great. Hey, listen, and as you mentioned, going to be out there all Super Bowl week. So, God, if you're looking for some insight like you got today, definitely make sure Marshall's part of that. I'm sure we're going to get you on Gojo and Golic while we're out there all week at Radio Row. So it'll be a great time. Jason Fitch, you guys can catch over at Yahoo Sports, covering pretty much everything for them at this point. You can also hear him. And there were a lot of people in the chat that said they missed Jason on radio. You can catch him on the weekends on Fox Sports Radio out there doing his thing, as well as hanging out with us on Gojo and Golic from time to time as well. So thanks for coming by, Fitzy.
No, thanks for having. Hey, Marshall, hit me up at the Super Bowl, man. Come do something with me on Yahoo.
I'll get linked up with you. I'll be out there most of the week. So yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
And for everyone that was in the chat, Melissa, my friend, met along the way covering a lot of TCU football last year.
Hey.
Danny Finns fan, Mike Het, Adam Kearns, all the people that have been in the chat for a while here. We appreciate everyone coming by. First time we try to do something like this. So hopefully everyone had fun. Thank you to Dad, Stugotz, Mina, Dominique, Smetty, everyone who gave us a little bit of time of their night watching this game. And awesome one. So we got officially Ravens Chiefs coming up for the AFC Championship next week, and then 49ers and Lions with it all set. So thanks, everybody. Thanks again, Marshall and Fitzy. And we'll talk to you guys all tomorrow. Gojo and Golic, 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern. Come check us out there. Full reaction to all this stuff, and hopefully no more bath talk, for the love of God.
Scarring.